very angry right now.
Yeah. So I am on air with Rain Michaelis and Art Katsuke, who apparently comes into every one of my streams. He's the new Edindro. He actually met Edindro. Edindro back when I was streaming all the time on my main channel, and would probably average, each stream would probably be on average around 5 or 6 hours. Maybe not 5 or 6, but maybe 4 or 5. They were long. And I would stream multiple wait, hold on, let me tweet this out.
I will tweet it out to my substantially smaller followers.
Yeah, all you have to do is retweet. I'm taking you. So.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Zero effort. I love it. Well, not zero. Close enough.
Okay. Tweeted it. Tagged both of you guys. So, yeah, when I used to fucking stream all the fucking time, and I would get drunk, and Edindro has similar bouts of insomnia in general. It turns out, because he's on the fucking East Coast. He lives in Florida, and he also was unemployed for a while. He has a job now, and he works like a 9 to 5 type thing. But he and I streamed so many different times for so long, like probably well over 12, like to I would say probably between 12 and 25 times somewhere. It's hard to really remember, where it was mostly he would be sort of the main guest. Like, he would be the person that would be on the stream for the longest, and usually fucking basically closed the night out with me. Like, by the time like I ran out of booze and I was like, oh shit, he'd be like, okay, I guess the sun is coming up. Okay. Like, like, oh, that happened a lot.
Instead of a sand clock, you would actually have like a little graphic of a bottle that was just slowly emptying throughout the night, and that's how you guys knew when it was done.
Yeah. So yeah, and you've been kind of like that since I've been sort of streaming on my little channel.
It's been fun.
What I want to do, I do really want to have kind of a little gay guy version of Honey Badger Radio, where it's like gay guys who are very much not feminists. I don't know if you would consider yourself an anti-feminist. I guess you're a gigtow is what you are.
Yes, I'm an anti-feminist, definitely. I think to be a gigtow is to be an anti-feminist to a certain extent, since feminism is the reason that we have gigtows, in my opinion.
I don't like the term anti-feminist because I feel like it's
well, yeah, anytime you say you're anti something, it puts you in the appearance of a defensive position.
Yeah, and it backs you into a corner in terms of like how you're defining yourself. It's like, I don't define my fucking self based around this one particular thing that annoys me. Yeah.
I'm more of a, I would say I'm probably more of a men's rights activist. I don't like even saying activist because I'm not an activist, but I'm concerned with men's rights. Let's say
that's what I say. I'm a men's rights advocate. And I actually had it out with Hannah Wallen on who's one of the Honey Badgers on Twitter, and she was like all fucking arguing with me about the for some fucking reason. I don't remember. Like, all I was trying to do was clarify that, like, to me as an individual, I think that there's a difference between an advocate and an activist, and I was trying to clarify what that difference is to me and why I call myself an advocate. And she was trying to be like, but an advocate is an activist and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I can see that argument, and I'm not gonna like tell I'm not gonna tell a YouTuber who talks a lot about men's rights that they're not an activist if they want to be called an activist. Like, I'm not going to say don't call yourself an activist, but I'm not necessarily going to call them an activist. I would I would probably be more inclined to call them an advocate unless they're doing something to the effect of actually like directly advocating for the falsely accused or trying to lobby the government in some way or another. Like there's something very tangible. And the reason why is because of the left. The left has overused the term activist to such a severe degree that I want to be very sparing about who I consider an activist. And Hannah was like not having that. And I was like, dude, like I actually like and respect you. Like I don't know why. And then she dropped it, but it was like it was kind of like it's this interesting thing where it was like I don't see why it's so important to like defend this word that it's like I
for lack of a better term, it seems like kind of an ecumenical discussion. Like you guys were basically hashing out the finer points of doctrine, like in the same way like the Catholic and the Orthodox Church are basically the same thing, but it's in the finer details where things begin to break down. But those make for very dry and unsatisfying conversations, even for the people partaking in them, I think.
Yeah, we I really like the honey badgers.
I do too.
I don't quite yeah, I'll just say that I do like them. I kind of wished. Okay, so I find it a little bit weird that they aren't at least trying to cater to the gay male demographic a little bit more than they are, because I think that gay men would love them if they tried to market themselves towards gay men a little bit more. And I don't know why they don't. And I've hinted at it and they've ignored me. That's what I'll say.
I don't know.
And when I say I've hinted at it, I mean that fucking Karen Strawn was on what's it called? The YouTube Saints, and I super chatted so that they would, actually read my comment in the chat. And I said, Karen, talk about gay men more. And she said, say what about gay men? And that's all she said. And it was like,
that's kind of dismissive and weird.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I guess, well, I have to do it, but fine, I will, but yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't quite understand why, because Paul Elam, the guy who is, one
of the founders of like MRA, as we understand.
Yeah, he's the founder of modern of sort of like the current incarnation of. Yeah, he's the head of A Voice for Men, and he kind of like brought the men's movement to the internet. He and I've chatted in a live stream for a long time, and it wasn't supposed to be this way. There was like at least two other people, maybe three or four others there, but I think it was mostly just two other people there. But it ended up mostly just being him and I talking the whole time, and he was very curious about.
As do many streamers that you were involved with.
Well, yes. I mean, I'll talk a lot, but he was very, very curious about me and made it a very specific point to.
I'm sure it was fascinating.
Well, he made it a very specific point to say that that the men's movement cares about gay men. It's always cared about gay men. That almost everybody within the men's movement will admit that, even if these are people who don't have don't see eye to eye, like there are traditionalists and everything, but like their primary concern is helping men, and that includes gay men, and in a way that feminism can never accomplish. And he made that very, very clear to me early on, and he was super nice, and he's retweeted me a bunch of times, like retweeted videos of mine and shit like that. So yeah, like I don't know why the honey badgers wouldn't. You know, like, I mean, I'm not saying promote my channel necessarily, but I'm not saying why they wouldn't have that same attitude.
You think they're possibly afraid of alienating like men or getting
yeah, I can. Here, let
maybe
me
they're afraid of alienating men that are already kind of feeling vulnerable about their sexuality.
I don't know. I just don't know. And maybe I haven't been listening to them much. Maybe I haven't listened to them enough, and maybe I'm wrong. And I mean, I've listened to them a whole fuckload, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, I have to go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry, I just started, but I have to already go to the bathroom.
Hello. 5 people watching this. Rin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, hey, why don't you tell me about yourself?
I can hear you.
Okay, we still have trading. I know it's not. It's headphones or something.
I barely hear you.
We're doing this with avant-garde performance involving voice and
Okay, I'm back, and I'm gonna plug in my headset.
Bryn was starting to tell something about this.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Were you guys talking about me?
Yes, I was commenting on your trademark echo, and then I tried to play it off at when Rin started to introduce it off as an avant-garde voice performance. It wasn't successful.
Okay.
Black Knight Fool thinks that it does have to do with their current audience as to why I believe he's talking about why the honey badgers don't talk more about gays, because they want to focus on their audience, which I guess is heterosexual men's rights movement.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, possibly. Very well could be. Demographics are usually at play for most things rather than sinister motives.
Well, I mean, okay, so here, let me hold on. Yeah, Warren Farrell would be the father of the men's rights movement, definitely, but Paul kind of brought it more to the internet, is what I would say. Let's see. Where is he talking about the? I don't see where he says anything about honey badgers. Why am I not seeing that?
I think maybe I just assumed and put words in Black Knight Fool's mouth.
I just don't see him mention the honey badgers at all.
He says at the beginning. Okay, I just popped out the chat. Gay men are MGTOW by default. I'd say probably, but
unfortunately, no. That's
not
just not true.
Definitely not.
Hold on one second. You would think that, but there's a lot of gay men that are totally cucked, especially in terms of like activism and even bars and their fucking hookup apps now, which have now been taken over by feminists, and we don't even get to have nice things at all.
It is a consistent issue.
Yeah.
Blame it on the lesbians. Sorry. What were you saying, Rin?
Gay man go make it sound?
What?
How does the gay man go make it sound?
Well, we call it GigTow, and it's just basically boycotting the LGBT community because there's too many fucking feminists that will try to bully us and boss us around. And so instead of trying to fight them necessarily, we just go where they aren't.
We do our own thing with an A. We can't do a thing that was trademarked.
Now, granted, I'm temporarily like that, but I don't plan for it to be a lifelong thing. I think that I think that in a give maybe 3 or 4 years, we'll be able to successfully have control over the gay community again. Because I know gay guys are sick of it. I fucking know it. But yeah.
Yeah, well, more and more women are getting tired of feminism. I'm pretty sure you heard of the Grid Girls incident.
Yeah, what are Grid Girls exactly?
They're the girls who I did they stand on the road while the race car driver drive around.
Yeah, I
you know, as the race car drivers, they drive around in laps. I think they're the ones that stand around and cheer them on, kind of like a cheerleader. And like they feminists, well, like radical feminists, they try to get rid of them because they're scantily clad. They say that it looks like they're wearing a swimsuit or a bikini.
I don't know.
Dave Colin, Computing Forever, he made a really good video about it on his Computing Forever channel.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that one out.
I love Dave Colin. I was gonna check that out today, and then I got busy making things around my house. But he rarely disappoints when it comes to at least raising an interesting issue that I didn't know about.
Oh, by the way, Rin, thanks again for defending me when that stupid drama went down. I appreciate it. I never got to actually thank you with my voice.
Oh, are you talking about with Cognitive Doll?
Yeah, because she actually made a video where she talked about it, and she's
yeah.
I'd love to watch that.
When it comes to Cognitive Doll, I think what he did was dead wrong. And I mean, I was the only one who inspired such. So was Maddie, because when it comes to DMs, Maddie, as in let's see, Madhouse Woman.
Oh, okay. Did she talk about it?
She didn't make a YouTube video about it, as far as I know. But
a number of people sided with me. I'm pretty sure the majority of people, and the only people who didn't were people that just didn't follow it at all, and follow around people in packs on the internet to start drama because they're bored. And Cog is one of those people. Like, he's a total fucking drama queen, it turns out, and he has some fans that will, like, he tells them to jump and attack, and they say how high and attack who, like basically is what it seems like. And I just didn't know that about him, really. I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
But Cognitio was wrong because it's clear that DMs are supposed to be private, and the way it sounded like was exactly the way you were describing. That sure, you were kind of like, what the fuck, man, because you were wondering why he was acting a certain way.
Well, do you know what it was? Why he ended up going crazy? Because first of all, I'm not the only person that he shared the DMs of. Like, he did that to Cat. He'll be back. It's probably his connection because he was sounding weird anyway. The reason that he ended up sharing DMs from multiple people, and I don't want to say everybody who, but at least 2 other people besides myself that I heard about afterwards. And the reason why he felt like it was this okay thing for him to do in his twisted little fucking head is because when they caught Jeff Holiday lying, Cog was the one who caught him lying while on the cunt stream, because Cog was on the cunt stream and he decided to start DMing Jeff, and Jeff lied to him in DMs. And so they like screen shared it on the cunt stream. And they're like, oh, he's lying. We know he's lying. Oh, and so ever since Cog did that, he probably wanted to pretend like it wasn't a violation of trust to share DMs. And it's like, no, it is, you know, and like, okay, I can understand if they knew that Jeff was lying and it was a shady thing. That's not I mean, it's pretty shitty to share it, kind of, but I can see the reasoning for that. I wasn't fucking lying about anything, and Cog fucking knew that goddamn well. You know, like
there's a huge difference between somebody outright lying and you're sharing DMs to expose the lie and whatnot, and you trying to fix your friendship and him spitting on your friendship. When I was under the impression that you were good friends at one point, and then he decided to just gang up on you on a live stream, and then just
yeah, that's basically sort of what it was. We used to talk probably about, you know, a year ago, not uncommonly, and we had made a video collaboration together, and you know, like we haven't spoken in a while, and honestly his content isn't really that interesting, so it's not like I watch his videos, because he just makes like tedious response videos where he hyper analyzes everything that the other person's saying, you know, and it's just it's boring to me.
And half the time he doesn't even get it right.
Well, I don't know, maybe I don't fucking even know, because I don't really watch his videos.
For me, it was really when I saw the Tildeer response video where Tildeer was talking about how to be a skeptic. It was obviously satire, like every bit of it, and he and then Cog and was Reptile did a completely straight-faced response to it, believing it was serious. It was so ridiculous that Tildeer made like an hour response to their response of him. It was just, it was sad.
Well, Cog literally tried to get me to be a part of that, and yeah, he wanted me to like, you know, like, okay, and first of all, everybody should know that fucking the reason that I collaborated with Cog was because he pitched it at me. He was like, yeah, I really want to I like your channel a lot. I fucking, he you know, says that he binge watches my video and shit, and for all, and I'm actually, he said that multiple times. It's for all I know, it's actually true. And he said that he wanted to do a collaboration with me. Is there anything I want to do a collaboration on? And I was like, well, I never do response videos almost ever, because I fucking hate making them. I hate editing them. And so if you wanted to do one and I record the part and you do all the editing, I'll be down for that. And that's why we did it. And he said, okay. And so we did our 2-part one about with Cat Black, and then he pitched that that other video at me, you know, again. And I don't think that there was any other ones that he pitched at me, but yeah, he was trying to get like multiple people to respond to fucking Tildeer. So I watched the video with him in some sort of a private hangout or something, and I was like, nope, this is totally boring. I have no interest in this. Like I just thought I had no interest in responding to it. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, why does Cog care? Like, is he taking like is he taking Tildeer's video personally or something? Because I certainly don't.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'm the same way. I don't really care too much for response videos, especially since multiple response videos seem to be carbon copies of each other. They all pretty much say the exact same thing. For me, I'm much more about discussing my ideas. I would rather discuss my ideas, and that's a huge bulk of my videos. I've did a few response videos, but not all that's many. And Tildeer, he got a lot of hell when he made that video. What's it called? Intellectual Vigor versus Punish channels. And I don't know why so many people freaked out, because
they probably took it personally because they knew it was fucking true. Okay, people fucking get way more offended if the shoe fits. Like if the fucking, if they
the lady protests too much.
yeah, it's like something is yeah, little fucking bottom feeders. They're all I'm sorry, I'm not talking about anyone in specific when I say this, but like there's a lot of people that like don't really have a whole bunch to say and still want to say something anyway, still want attention, and then they'll jump on stupid bandwagons to feel popular. And fucking when you accurately describe their behavior, they're gonna fucking freak the fuck out because
that's why so many people were freaked out when they were talking about Punish versus Vigor, because they just have a Punish channel. And Bass FCZ also made a good point on why the anti-feminists have a hard time with the alt-right. It's because they mostly just find a video and they tell jokes and they mock it, they laugh at it.
Who are you talking about?
Bass FZZ.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I never watch him, but yeah.
Yeah, he made good points, similar to, so there's like, all they do is just take a video, they mock it, they ridicule it, they laugh at it. Very few of it goes like on detail explaining why it's wrong. Like we just go through each and every single detail, explaining very clearly why it's wrong.
Yeah. Sargon does, and Teal Deer does. Teal Deer, I find him boring. I think, but and I think that his videos are too long. I think that so like when I'm talking about a concept and I'm going to illustrate the concept, and it's something that I notice being talked about in blogs a lot. Like in text blogs, I will usually cite at least. I'll usually cite multiple blogs and no more than 3. Like it'll usually be, I'll be like, yep, there's countless feminist blogs that all say the same thing, and I'll show 3 of them. Teal Deer will show fucking 8 to 12, and it's like I can't get through it, all of it.
Well, that's because his intellectual vigor. He wants to know that he's, analyzing this with great scrutiny. I mean,
yeah. No, I understand his style. I'm just saying it's kind of boring for me, but it's fine. It's just some people get really into it. I don't.
I think it's probably the same reason why, like, I love Aiden Paladin videos, because I can't. Anyone who watches me on the stream know I can't go and stream without making reference at some point to Aiden Paladin.
Yeah,
I am a fanboy, but her videos, I mean, they're super long, and I mean, she's an academic, and she gets citations in the video. Well, I mean,
yeah,
and that it's definitely you have to know what you're doing. I think that Aiden Paladin and Teal Deer to a lesser extent, but definitely there are those YouTubers that are, they're trying to make a point. They don't really care if it's necessarily super interesting. They just think that it needs to be said, and hopefully you'll just, you'll follow them on the journey if you like it and if you're interested.
And well, Sargon is better at being interesting, because when he goes through articles and goes through over his ideas, he's a lot better at being amusing. Well,
he's not as intellectual as Teal Deer or Aiden Paladin, and I don't mean that he isn't as intelligent. I just he has a very more commonsensical approach.
Yeah, he has more of a
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He's not all that. I mean, he's intelligent, but
a lot of people don't know that there's a difference between being intelligent and intellectual.
Academic.
And
he's could just go through more citations and go citation after citation after citation. So you can tell that he really knows talking about.
Because Aiden Paladin and Teal Deer, for instance, and I don't know if they would consider themselves to be contemporaries, but I kind of do. I feel like they're trying to show what they would consider proof. They want to know that they put something out for like a more educated audience, and that's not to say.
Well, and for people that would potentially like hold their feet up to the fire and be like, well, those are just a few examples,
Yeah, and they definitely want to just put the proof out there, like, you know, like academics or professionals tend to do, which is like, okay, I'm not going to just, you know, give you a teaser and then have to defend it when you straw man me. So they just try to take the straw man out of the argument altogether.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to do, but when it's done correctly, it's very interesting.
Well, yeah, and it can be for some people. I watch Aiden Paladin not religiously, but I do watch her to learn about certain things. You know, and she does a really good job of covering her bases. I think she's brilliant, and I really appreciate what she does. And I've watched, you know, some Teal Deer videos, and like it's I'm very grateful
than hers, I think. But
I'm very grateful for people who do shit like that, because without people like that, I couldn't do what I do so easily.
I call them resource YouTubers. They put out their content as a resource to people, like to give people, like, you know, something that you can point to explain a topic or a subject.
Yeah, my videos, I've always the goal of my you know, the Prince of Queens genre that I have fallen into doing has been, you know, digestible, entertaining, and informative, but equal parts those things. So, you know, like Teal Deer and Aiden would be like mostly informative, right? You know, but like mine are more like digestible, a little bit informative, a little bit digestible, a little bit informative, and a little bit entertaining.
Well, I guess yours is probably better than mine, because me, I just have a vlog and I just share my opinions most of the time.
Well, that's what people want. They just, you know, it's okay to, people I think are afraid to, well, no, not really, but it's okay to share your opinion and it just be your opinion, provided that your opinion is, you know, that you can explain how you arrived at that opinion, and the reasoning behind your opinion is sound. It just, and again, it depends who you're trying to convince and what you're trying to convince them about. I'm still trying to figure out exactly 100% what kind of YouTuber I am. At best, I can say, like, my goal, I guess I would call myself like a perspective YouTuber. Like, I'm not, I mean, I've done some commentary videos and I've done a response video, but I think what I'm starting to realize, that I think my main purpose in being a YouTuber is to communicate a viewpoint and a perspective that just isn't really being heard, and that being gays that are not down with the crazy ultra liberal, not even liberal, but just like the crazy feminist PC multi-alphabet culture that we have in LGBT right now. I really
but who
reject
used to sort of be in a little bit, not necessarily in that feminist thing, but like who used to be just, who never questioned being a leftist.
Oh yeah, no, I was totally a traditional liberal. I mean, I grew up, I'm from like a 4th generation Democrat family. I mean, like I remember when it was McCain Palin running against oh god, I don't even remember who they were. Was that Obama? That was Obama the first time around. And I remember there was an older gay man at the bar where we were hanging out, and he was drunk and he's saying like, "Oh, Palin's going to be the best vice president ever," and, you know, obviously saying this in a gay bar, and he was already a bit of a character, but I mean, obviously saying this in a gay bar, he got a lot of laughter, and I remember I don't even know what I said, like, "Gay Republican, you're a contradiction in terms," and I was, you know, and looking back on that, I'm like, I mean, it was kind of funny, but I definitely wouldn't say that today. I'm not a Republican. I'm not really, I don't know. The best answer I can ever give people whenever they ask me what my political stance is, like, I'm politically agnostic. Like, I don't, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Black Republicans do get a lot of hell. I mean, it's kind of like, if you're a Black and you're Republican, you'll get called a coon, an Uncle Tom, a house N-word. You'll get called all sorts of things, a sellout, a race traitor, anti-Black, a racist. I mean, did I say Uncle Tom? I'm not sure if I said that one or not, but there's some long list of names that people will call you. And I mean, even Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks, even he used Uncle Tom to refer to Black people who, vote Republican, it's sellouts and.
The language isn't quite as harsh for gay men that are Republicans, but the reception is certainly pretty bad. I mean, like, you're definitely going to be persona non grata at any like gay society functions. Like, the rainbow does not tolerate the color red.
And it's amazing how homophobic straight people will be. Like, fucking, far leftist straight people will be really, really homophobic.
All the shit that was completely unacceptable to say a few minutes ago, when they find out that if you're a Republican, like, oh, you fucking faggot race traitor, what are you doing?
Yeah, basically. I mean, they don't often necessarily say faggot, but I've been threatened. I've been physically threatened by a guy that I've known for over 12 years because I don't even really remember what it was. Like, he said that, like, anarcho-communists are annoying, and or anarcho-capitalists are annoying, I guess, because he's more of an anarcho-communist, which I wasn't entirely sure of. And I think I just posted a link to a video, and then he said something, and he was like, "Are you saying you agree with everything in this video?" And I was like, "Well, not necessarily everything, but it's critiquing anarcho-capitalists. I thought you might like it." And he was like, "Well, this guy's a me. I think he's a fascist. Are you a fascist?" And I was like, "I think that you shouldn't call everybody a fascist, because that speaks a lot worse than anything."
It's the new F word.
Yeah, and then he was like, "So you're saying that you don't think he's a fascist?" And I was like, "I think you need to shut up." And he was like, "I think you're a fascist. I want to punch you I want to punch you in the face right now." And I was like, you're like fucking 5'4", and you're out of shape. I've never been like you've met me. Like, I'm fucking tower over you. I would fucking whoop your ass. The fuck you say to me, like, little fucking straight boy, like, fucking, you're lucky we don't live in the same city, Like,
I will beat your ass. Then I will take you out to dinner and compliment your appearance. Huh? How you like that?
No, and he knew I'd beat him up too, because he said he kind of was like, he sort of backtracked and like, we'll get that kind of shit, and it's and it's really shitty too, because I don't know entirely if they'll not do it on straight, because I'm sure that, like, straight guys will kind of get it, like they'll threaten straight guys and everything, but they think that they can get away with threatening us. They think that we're going to get scared.
It just reminds me of how Blair White made a video where she talked about how her roommates pulled a knife on her, like, while they were drunk, and she had to call the police to get her out because they were like, and they just wouldn't, they just making death threats and whatnot, and she just no longer felt safe. And
yeah, funny that. No, I've never been threatened for anything I've said politically, but admittedly, that's because I'm not very well known yet, and I use an avatar because I don't want to be unemployable in sunny, ultra blue California, where thoughts and humor are the devil.
Yeah, fucking California. Fuck California. There's this really good song that I need to link you with. It's called California, and the opening lyric is and actually I knew the girl in the band. And the opening lyric is, "Fuck California, you made me boring."
I will say this: like, as much as I hate on California, it's really not all of California. It's just some of the extremely loud and very influential places. Because I mean, if California was this monolithic, California is not Sweden, where everyone is just basically of one mind and it is left.
California is roughly the same size as Japan.
It's bigger than Japan, I believe. But what I mean is, like, culturally, there is there wouldn't be a new California initiative if there wasn't such a huge divide between Californians, because it really comes down to like the coastal Californians and inland Californians for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And even to a lesser extent, like, you know, at the far extremes, like everything outside of like the San Francisco Bay Area where I live and Los Angeles, and that's, you know,
And maybe Sacramento.
Sacramento is kind of 50-50 because that's when you start meeting the other Californians, which, I mean, a lot of people don't realize there are a lot of Californians who came out to California from Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl and parts of California where their families have been there for a long time in the agricultural areas or out in the boonies. Like, they even kind of sound like that still. I mean, like, it's another California altogether, and it is a red California. It is a gun-loving California, and it is, you know, they're not flying any rainbow flags out in those parts. Like, go out past Modesto into Tracy, go into like the mountains, like basically any mountain town, like, and anything outside of downtown Sacramento, and it's a different culture. But, you know, that said, California will always be a certain way because at the end of the day, these people are a minority because the majority of Californian population-wise live in the coastal, very liberal areas. Although I still believe that if we somehow managed to make Berkeley its own state, California would regain at least 50% of its sanity.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know. I have this friend, and he is a YouTuber, and what's weird is that he considers himself left still, and is into like Marxism and stuff, but he thinks that everybody who talks about Marxism gets it all wrong, and I mostly agree with him when he talks about stuff, and he's very, very much not a like feminist at all, and I don't think that he wants communism, and you know,
Marxist.
well, I don't know if he even considers himself a Marxist exactly. I think it's more that he feels like, I don't know. You'd have to actually really ask him because I haven't talked to him in a while, and
it sounds like a politically ambivalent and confused person.
No, he's really not. He's very clear, actually. He's in his late 40s probably, and
I would love to hear his thoughts.
Yeah, he's really cool. He was one of the first people I made friends with around the time that I was starting my channel, and I made a video called "What is the alt left?" because people kept accusing me of being alt right, and so I made this video, "What is the alt left?" and I was coining it, and I was basically saying it was like Bernie Sanders type people. And
there's no alt left, which is hilarious. Just like they tried to say,
we were the ones who coined it. He had already been throwing around the term. He had come up with it independently of me, and then some other guy had come up with it, and so we talked a bit, and like you know, it was cool, and then it became what they started calling Antifa, and it was like, no, that's what we don't want it to be. Jesus fucking Christ.
Opposite what we were trying to do. Damn it, guys.
Yeah. So I think with him, it's a little bit more like what he would say is that Marx had a lot of writing, and Marx, you know, Marx's teachings were rather unclear, and you know, Marx and Engels, you know, they didn't think that they were like government people. They weren't trying to like install this system into government. What they were doing was writing theory books about what they thought was going to happen for the future of the human race. Like they thought
they were philosophers at best, but they were not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Marx would have never believed what the fuck would have happened after he died. You know, like at all. I'm sure absolutely at all, and he would be appalled by it probably.
That would make a great independent film, or like an experimental animation film where like Karl Marx is brought back into the future, and he sees
Bill and Ted style.
He goes back in time, and he's like just hangs himself so that they should have
Bill and Ted's Excellent Journey Part 3, and all they do is bring back Karl Marx and be like, dude, we have something to tell you, bro.
Oh my god. That's feminist. Ah, I don't know.
So yeah, I bet that that's what he would say about Marx, and like he is like, and he would probably say something to the effect of, most people who say that they're Marxists have only read the Communist Manifesto, but if you actually really read Marx, there's a lot more to it than that, and blah blah blah. I bet that's what he would say.
Sounds like an intense or an intellectually defensible position.
He's really, really smart, and I pretty much always agree with him about politics and feel like he knows more about politics than I do. That being said, he fucking wrote on a video of mine one time. It was something about, Berkeley and Antifa, BAM, fucking those people and shit. He wrote a really, really long comment, and he was like, the only goddamn way to deal with these motherfuckers is to do a fucking full city shutdown sting where you turn off the power and accept the fact that there's going to be ringleaders and they're probably going to be armed, and you will have to find the difference between the civilians and expect to be that there will be a few casualties, but blah, blah. It was fucking crazy. Like, I was like, what? I was not expecting that from him, because
I definitely want to talk to this guy now. What's his name?
He goes by on YouTube Samas.broadcasts. Or maybe he doesn't anymore.
You have to DM it to me at some point. Like this.
Yeah. But like Samizdat was I think the term is the Russian word for like counter propaganda or something. Like
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and so he yeah. He's a cool guy. He has kids and lives in Canada, and
poor man.
Yeah.
Canada.
I think he's like married too. Like, it's not like, he got divorced or something.
Mm-hmm. I remember I used to think Canada was such an amazing, cool place. Now the moose is just mutated into some sort of bizarre, like, colder, larger Berkeley with more power.
Yeah, Canada and Europe seemed cool back when I was a kid. I mean, back when I was a kid, I wanted to visit places like France and London and Canada, but not so much anymore because it would immigration thing, the mass immigration and whatnot.
Europe went from being, I thought, like the coolest, most intellectually diverse, and just like everything. I mean, admittedly, I was young and I didn't know as much, but I mean, I thought Europe was just like this amazing cosmopolitan place where people went and they were just more tolerant and accepting, and they are to a point, but unfortunately, those very qualities were used by very unethical people to literally undo everything that was cool and amazing about Europe and turn it into a glorified refugee camp.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way when I was young because I mean, Europe just seemed so wonderful. I mean, I'm not sure we sound like we might be around the same age, but I grew up with like Mary-Kate and Ashley goes to London, Mary-Kate and Ashley goes to Paris, Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, I think we're about that. I'm 35, so I think we're about the same age.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch was a good show.
It was actually, even though Melissa Joan Hart is apparently a really terrible human being in real life.
Well, she probably is. She fucking
no, like I heard all kinds of stories because her mom's a producer. Like, I don't know how many of them are true, but the best story I heard about her was that in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch movie before the TV series, that she basically forced her male co-star into a closet and then performed fellatio on him. And when the girlfriend, who was because I think he was dating one of his co-stars, when the girlfriend heard about it, she basically came after her with like some sort of like stage prop and said, "Get the fuck out of here."
It doesn't really surprise me. She was never particularly cute.
No, I will say this though. I loved Clarissa Explains It All. That was my favorite.
That show was so targeted to faggots.
It really was. Oh my god, that show used to make me laugh so hard before I even.
It
I
had
didn't
fucking
even.
like Keith Haring like drawing imitations all over it at the beginning. Remember?
Yeah, it did. Oh my god, I love that show. Nickelodeon used to be so cool. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
like
just
fucking salute your shorts.
shorts. Yeah. Oh my god, you remember Snick?
Yeah, there was long and shit
Oh,
like
I love
fucking Pete and Pete.
Pete. Oh my god, Pete and Pete. Like that show is so weird in retrospect. Like that show
Well,
was
they were trying very hard to be weird. In fairness, because they knew that there is always going to be a distinct little population of kids that gets really into weird stuff, and they were very trying to like hard to market towards that.
Well, it worked. I mean, that show, like, I really like that show. The few times I've been able to find it again, I should probably just BitTorrent it.
Yeah, twins that weren't actually, or two kids that weren't actually brother or twin brothers that both happened to be named Pete for no apparent reason. And the little one had a tattoo, and like
Petunia, like his mom had a metal plate in her head that could pick up radio signals. Like, I mean, like there was just so many strange things going on in that show, and yet somehow it all seemed to work. I can't really explain it, but it was. And their cartoons were so cool. Rocko's Modern Life was just way better than SpongeBob. And
I was remembering. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, so those are related. Like the reason I bring them up is because I really believe that SpongeBob is just a carbon copy of Rocko. I mean, they even share some of the same production staff, but not the same writers. But go ahead.
Oh, I was remembering the best episode of Ren and Stimpy, which now granted, that's a show that if you watch it in adult life, you see totally different things, and you're like, oh god. There's probably other best episodes, but my favorite one when I was a kid was the one where so like one of the bits that they would occasionally do was that for some reason they would break the fourth wall in Ren and Stimpy and act like Ren and Stimpy were they knew that they had an audience, and so like but nobody liked Stimpy. Everybody liked Ren. Like all of the kids were supposed to, you know, and so one of the things that
wait, wasn't it the opposite?
I don't remember. The Chihuahua.
The cat was Stimpy.
Stimpy, yeah, that's right. So they how did it work? Oh yeah, it was Ren was reading Stimpy's fan mail for whatever reason. Like it was like he told him that he would do it, and he was like, okay, fine. And the one kid, like, and there's one kid where he's like, I love you so much, but what's with your sidekick? I mean, what is he anyway? A mosquito? and then this one kid was like, so, and it reads it like he doesn't actually read it out loud. They have a little kid voice as if, you know, like it's actually the kid reading it himself. And he's like, so you're my favorite television star, and I figured I didn't have anyone else to tell at all because I don't really have any friends, and okay, this is a secret, so I'm not telling anyone in the entire world. And he was like, oh, I would never. And this like puts his hand on his heart, you know, and like acts like he's you know. And he was like, because if anyone knew, then, or I don't remember exactly what he says, but he was like, yeah, if anyone knew this, I would be totally embarrassed. And he was like, okay, I'll never. And then the kid, there's a little bit of silence, and he's like, I wet the bed. And then Ren is like, oh my god, this is horrible. I am writing everyone in your class, warning them never to sleep over with you.
I remember that now. Oh my god. I had a lot of favorite episodes. I think my favorite though has to be the probably one of the more iconic like montage of the show. You remember the Happy Happy Joy Joy song, of course.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I like where Stimpy is concerned that Ren is always, because Ren. Oh my god, like when you watch it again, it's like Ren is like just manic and insane and just like the worst kind of mood disorder I've ever seen. And he's concerned that he's not happy enough, so he gets the record Happy Happy Joy Joy. And if I remember, it came with like this like some sort of like happy helmet that just forces him to be happy all the time. And during like the song where it's just literally just like, you want to be happy? Yeah, let's be happy. Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy. And then Ren can't take it. At one point, he's smiling hysterically, and the song is going in the background. He keeps smashing the helmet on his head with a hammer in tune to the song Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy. Oh, I'm so disturbed, but I love that show.
Huh.
What were we talking about before we started talking about Nickelodeon?
I don't remember.
Huh.
Nothing particularly important for me to say. I mean, I was just wanting to hang out a little bit because Ren, and I just have nothing else to do, and I'm taking a break from actually making videos, and I have no videos to upload, and I don't really feel like reading, even though I'm supposed to be. I might have read an essay for a YouTuber who I'm not going to say his name. He was going to submit it to some sort of blog or whatever to get, and this would be a pay thing. And he wanted feedback, and I was like, cool. I'm listening to something right now, but I want to give it my full attention. But I'll have it read, and I'll give you some feedback by dinner. Send him a little bit of feedback, and I say, well, we should probably talk about this voice because I have some stuff to say, and it would just be better if I could talk. And he was like, I already sent it off, and it's like, dude.
What was the point of asking that?
Well, it's like first of all, what's the point of asking? So second of all, then my feedback, I just wasted my time apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I'm not mad at him. It's just that's something that people should try to not do. If someone literally actually agrees, and especially somebody that you know probably respect the opinion of their writing feedback pretty well and shit, and they agree to take time to actually do it, you should wait for it because they might not the person might not want to do it again if they are not convinced that it's going to fucking matter.
And person, you know who you are. You're out there in the audience right now. And Prince never forgets. Dun, 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 dun.
What the fuck is this weird? Oh, Superman versus the Powerpuff Girls. That's what it is.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Here,
do you like DC animated films?
Yes.
Did you watch Batman by Gas? Or was it Batman Gotham by Gaslight? It just came out recently.
One. Oh, where's it on?
I may have torrented it because the only way to get it digitally is to pay $15 for it on Google Play, which I wasn't going to do.
The best one that's come out in recent years is the Flashpoint Paradox.
Flashpoint is a very contentious subject in my house, because my husband is a hardcore orthodox DC traditionalist, and there is no fouler thing that has happened to DC, at least according to his group. Like that demographic of, let's just say, older fans that have been invested in it for a lot longer than anyone else. Flashpoint is the worst thing that ever happened to anyone. It's funny.
Wait, in what way?
Because large crossover events and, there are so many crises and, multiverse, changing, altering events where
Yeah,
the
well,
whole
people like those because they get to, all the characters get to interact with each other, and they like that.
Mm-hmm. And the companies like them because even though they're a pain to put on, it's a good way. Like when the continuity starts to get a little either stale or too complicated, for them to kind of reset the universe and see how they're doing. But the thing of it,
yeah, and if they want to kill off a fucking, if they need to get rid of a fucking Robin or a fucking Wonder Girl and get a new one.
Yeah, the best way for is a great way for them to to kill off and bring back characters if there's a giant event and it's a great draw. That's not the problem. Some of them are better than others. The problem with Flashpoint was that it was different than other crises because instead of saying okay, this big thing happened and now the universe is this way, after Flashpoint they said, okay, so that old continuity, everything that the last 50 plus years that you've spent thousands of dollars in and have storage units full of comics and figures, that didn't happen. That's not canon anymore. And it pissed everyone off because it's
because I don't
they reset it. It was a hard reset of the DC universe. It was a reboot. It wasn't like this happened and this changed, because basically with DC, yeah, and they were not happy.
So they could basically do anything they want from that point onward.
Yes, and they did, and what they did afterwards was not. It was very different, and it wasn't. It wasn't up to snuff.
So that must have had reasons that were deeper than.
It did. It
totally
did.
They probably had a bunch of writing layoffs,
it was the movie universe. So I believe it was around the time that DC had been bought off by Time Warner, and Time Warner wanted to simplify their movie universe because DC has, all comic book companies, have huge multiverse. Now the thing of it is, though, it was a really stupid decision in retrospect. It lost them millions because it pissed off all the comic book fans who are the only ones who are buying the comics, and they try to just make this universe for mundanes, for people that.
Wait, when did the Flashpoint Paradox originally come out? Let me check it out. I'll take a look. I have my. Because that makes sense what you're saying. So I had some drunk guy rant to me on a stream because I had liked the movie and he wasn't able to explain. He was kind of a crazy guy anyway, and he mostly just yelled at me, and then he was being sort of silly about it, and then other people didn't really want to hear about it. So
I'm going to have explained it in a more coherent manner.
Yeah, hold on. Flashpoint Paradox comic wiki. It was 2011. Yeah, so that was after well after the original 52 came out, which was really good, and then not necessarily like the Crisis on Infinite Infinite Earth. Those were I think earlier, but So Flashpoint. The new 52s are not good, but the original 52 was really good.
Well, there wasn't. Well, that's the thing, though. There wasn't a 52 before. Why the new 52 is because there's only 52 universes in as I understand
multiverse.
The multiverse went from being essentially infinite to 52, which is also coincident. Which is okay, that's incredibly dumb, because the reason that they were able to get away with the huge time altering things in the past without making all the fanboys and all the old friends pull their hair out was because there was always it could be in another universe, and because eventually things would either come back or shift back, and it was fine. But by saying nope, this is it now, those didn't happen. So for instance, a great example is the way they did the Star Trek movies with J.J. Abrams. That was a very tasteful and intelligent way to do that, because Trekkies, being one, I'll tell you, are a persnickety bunch, and you don't want the reason that the movie was accepted pretty openly, even though it changed a lot of things, was because it was done in a very Star Trek way. It involved time travel, and there was, altered timelines, and Leonard Nimoy was there sort of to hold our hand and say, okay, you know what, I like to represent the old universe and to remind us that it still existed somewhere, that, all of the years that we'd spent with these characters and the history that was part of us still existed somewhere. But that is not what they did with the New 52, which is why they've had to, after years and never actually admitting that they've done it, they've had to backtrack, and now the old universe is coming back.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know any. Okay, I didn't know any of that about that
It's
whole
really
shit.
deep,
But now
really
it makes sense about what you're saying about the Flashpoint paradox, and it makes sense that they tried so fucking hard to make that movie good, because they put a lot of work into making that movie cool. Like like the animation, like the choreography for the fight scenes and everything was so well done. And because they're like, okay, they're gonna fucking, like, the fans are gonna want to hate this. We got to try really hard.
Yeah, and they wanted it to be a blockbuster. Like, they wanted it to be like one step away from like a theatrical release movie. And here's the thing: it's not even that it's the worst story ever. The reason people hate Flashpoint so much is because of what happened. Yes,
that makes sense. No, because the story itself is actually pretty cool. It's a really cool idea.
Yeah. It's and like you said, now that they slowly, unofficially backtrack that, and Dan DiDio has been forced into a small hole somewhere where he will hopefully never be seen from again. Dan DiDio is the head of, I don't know if he's the head of DC, but like he is, like, I believe he's in charge of like the DC TV universe. Like, I forget exactly how. My husband was the one who feeds me this, this nerd deep state stuff, and I just sort of, I don't regurgitate it, but he's the one that spends all day reading all of these arcane publications, and I mean, he has so many. He has an entire room just full of omnibuses, like just reprints of like all of the old comics from, like, in huge thick volumes, and he just reads them all the time. It's like, it's just part of him, and I love it. I wish I was that invested in something. I like the more I think we talked about before, like the comics I like. He says I like the pretentious, highfalutin stuff.
Yeah, you fucking man type shit.
I'm a faggot, but I love Sandman. I love Lucifer, Fables.
I was talking. There was a meme on Facebook that it shows a picture from Black Panther, and it says the first black superhero movie ever made, and then it shows a picture of Blade, and he's like, bitch, please. And
funny that you go ahead.
And I was the thing that reminded me of, I lived in New York City when Blade was popular, and because I lived in New York City from 2000 through 2005, and that's like when those movies were coming out, I mean, I think the first one came out probably, I don't remember exactly when, but it was before that, but it was probably around Blade 2 when I was living there. But Blade was a comic, and it was a pretty big cult following. And right by my dorm is a street called Astor Place, or sorry, St. Mark's Place, and then there's a sort of a center called Astor Place, and Astor Place is a sort of a famous hangout place for a lot of, like, teenagers will go there, like high school kids will go there after school, and there's a number of comic book shops and shit like that are there, or at least, like, there's one real comic shop that's like right by Astor Place, and it's been there for a long time. And then there's probably a number of used bookstores and shit like that. And so there's comic geeks who try to be cool in that way that, like, comic geeks try to be cool sometimes, and a lot of them were black kids that would try to dress up like Blade And I was like, and I got to New York and I was like, is this a thing? Are people like actually doing this? Because I came from Seattle. I remember the fucking white kids in the 1990s like trying to be like Death and fucking the Sandman characters, like when goth was like my sister tried to be like that. She tried to fucking dress up like Death. And I was like, but in Seattle, the black people in Seattle would have never dressed up like a comic book. Like they would have thought that that was totally stupid. And but in New York, there's just a lot more black people, and so it's like you're going to find a lot of black geeks. They will go down to the right neighborhood for black geeks, and they will dress up like Blade. Apparently.
Well, also, that's where DC had its headquarters for the longest time. So
that was a Marvel comic.
Was it? I thought it was. Oh, you're right. No, but I thought they both had their headquarters there. Anyway, but yeah, there's definitely much more of a book culture in New York, whether it's comic books or just books, because there's so much more publishing there in general. It's on the same subject of black geeks. Liberal Hammer tweeted a few days ago this picture. Did you see it about Dear White People, about Black Panther?
No.
It's really funny. I have it right here. So he retweeted this picture where it says, "Dear white people, just a friendly reminder as the anticipation builds for hashtag Black Panther."
Oh, I saw that.
Yes, this is for the culture. This doesn't concern you. Stay the fuck out of our way on February 16th. Keep all your they're misspelling all these words. I'm just reading them. Keep all your opinions about the film to yourself, unless you're asked. But don't worry, you won't be asked.
I think I remember one that was like, don't show up on opening night because we want to get in, and like.
Yeah. So he had he said, like, just for you, I'm going to criticize the fuck out of it, even if I like it. But
do you know what? Do you know one of the apps? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I responded to that. Like, I guess people don't realize that Black Panther was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who are white as porcelain. But so would that make it cultural appropriation? I don't know.
One of the final straws. So like, I've mentioned this to you that and I think I've probably mentioned this to Rin, that I was somebody who had many black friends. I did not have token black friends. I was one of the people that I've heard that if black people actually like you if you're a white person and they invite you over to a party where pretty much everyone's black. Like, it's like that means they actually like you. And there's a lot of white people that they will, tolerate, and they will hang out with at parties. It's like, oh, token black friend, I'll come along sometimes, blah, blah, blah. But, like, if they want to hang out with black people, they'll hang out with black people, and it's kind of a different thing. And they have to, be black people around each other, kind of like gay guys have to be black or gay guys around each other, like we do that. But I would be invited along to those parties sometimes. And so I knew my friends liked me, and like I had many black friends. And I fucking when the SJW craze hit and everybody started being SJWs, it was just this horrible thing where like all my fucking black friends were talking about racism all the time. And some of them were just being really non-constructive, and I was really trying my best, but it was like nothing I could say would not it was always just like, for the most part, always at least one of their friends would be like, who the fuck is this white boy? Why is he talking? And it was like, somebody who I'm pretty sure they would value my opinion on this. Like, cause they'd be talking about like white people and how like white people this, white people that. And I'd be like, well, if you want to know about white people, you know who to ask, and so that happened enough times. And then it would be like, we would be talking about media, which is, fucking, that's my specialty. We're talking about televisions, and they would be talking about racist depictions of characters on TV and shit like that, and I'd be like, hey, well, actually I did notice that, and I did actually think it was a stereotype, and it'd be like, well, but your job is to shut up and listen, and it was like, okay. Like that kind of a shit. Like it was like there was literally nothing I could say right, and I was like,
your presence alone was toxic to them.
Yeah, and I knew it was wrong. I knew they were fucked up, but I didn't have any other option. I didn't know about YouTube. Now, so and I've told you this. There was about a year where I just kept my opinions off social media because it wasn't good for me to during that year, and for the best I could. There were some times that I would sort of say things, and then I would, I don't know, often still get in fights. Now, at the same time, there was this fucking person that I knew named that I don't want to say the name of. I will call this person
Theodore.
Well, this person is trans now, and
Theodore.
I'll call them Clara. How about that? This person was a homeless raver in the fucking 1990s. They came from a mixed race house, like Black and Asian, and they were honestly, they were never particularly cool. They were just somebody that I always felt sorry for. That's what it was. And they were really, really dramatic and would guilt people into mooching off of them, and like, this was now granted, this person got kicked out of the house for being gay, and that's why they were homeless.
Were they gay or they trans?
Well, they weren't trans yet. And so they would, there were at least two. There was one time that I witnessed, that I saw this, and I'm pretty sure it happened multiple times. They would go on these kind of like public crying sessions and like be like, yeah, I've been disowned by my entire family twice. Like, and some white girl would be like, oh, it's okay. And I think that was the only thing that they knew how to do, was to like play victim. And I mean, it's like kind of understandable when this is a person that gets kicked out for being gay and was probably beaten by their family and shit. But like, this person started doing activism very young, I think because, the fucking intersectional fucking socialist type people in the late 90s identified that they could tokenize this person as like a, somebody that they were helping. And so this person didn't have anything to offer in terms of activism. They weren't smart. There was nothing particularly redeeming about them. And as far as I fucking know, this person basically stayed homeless and is still basically homeless and has, just moved around. Oh, and they lived in the Bay Area for a while, and I got reconnected with them in the Bay Area. And that's when they had started transitioning.
Is that the same guy you were talking about? The person who was talking about like Asians are not really like yellow, they're really
No, different guy.
Yeah, because you're talking about how the person was all like, Asians could have white privilege.
That guy was, that's a fucking different guy who I actually know really well. He's somebody that I've known since like the 4th grade, and I was actually very good friends with him. This person I was never this person that this trans person, I was never good friends with at all. I've never hung out with them alone a single fucking time at all. They would, I was a DJ in the late 90s, early 2000s at raves, and they would be in the audience and like, they thought I was like really cool and shit, and like this I don't want to say groupie, because it's not like they idolized me as an individual, but if I ever even was nice to this person and hugged them, they would be like, you could tell it made their day. So And like yes, I would hear repeated stories about them getting kicked out of apartments. And one friend of mine, this girl, this trans person got really drunk at a party at their house and like fell asleep, passed out on a couch, didn't ask if they could sleep over, passed out on a couch, and then fucking pissed on the couch, and then I think left without saying anything about it. And they had to throw away the couch.
This is the same person that you're talking about?
This trans person. So and then even to this day, this person like will often not have a place to go, and people will tell people you can maybe let them stay, but set a very firm limit, like only for 3 days, and stick to it. Do not let that person stay for any longer, because like this person hangs out with these fucking stupid ass like anarchist, communist, fucking feminist bitches in Seattle, where like they'll let them, they'll let this person stay over, but because they, they're fucking white girls who feel like they want to be woke, but like this person's awful. Like they're just a fucking parasite is what they are at this point. Like they are just the biggest. And so
I think that they have like a trans stray puppy or something that
basically, and this person has been doing it. This person has been this trans stray puppy since fucking the 90s. So yeah, it's insane. So because it's like eventually it's like you have to say enough is enough, and somehow this person has been able to just get away with it. That being said, this person was still my fucking Facebook friend, and we got into it a few times because they were fucking just saying stupid ass shit. Like they just don't know anything, but they still don't know fuck about shit, and they were trying to like talk about some stuff that they don't know anything about, like trying to be like, so let me get this straight. How is Islamophobia and racism different? And I was, I was like, oh, and I think I said, in response, I said, probably because you could be one, the other, or both. And then they were like mean about it, and then I would try to get into arguments with them, and be like, you don't know anything. And like, I'm trying not to be mean to you, but like, you keep talking about these things, like, stuff about politics and social issues, but you really just don't, and like, maybe I have no problem, pointing you in the direction of some things to like learn about, because I am educated, but, and I don't believe you couldn't learn about some things, but you talk about shit like shit, and you're supposed to be some sort of activist, but you really don't know anything. And then this person is like, so you think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? And it was just like, oh God. And so but okay, that actually happened after the straw that broke the camel's back. That was how I ended up finishing my friendship with this person. This person, though, was one of the people that made the straw break the camel's back and made me turn into a full-blown shitlord on the internet. And the way it happened was, this all comes back around why I started talking about this. I was in my phase where I was like afraid to share my opinions on social media, and I was watching the show Empire. Do you remember that show?
I remember that. I never actually watched it, but I remember it being on all the time. It was supposed to be quite good.
It was entertaining. Wasn't exactly good.
Oh, all right.
I would say it was actually kind of a fucking racist ass show if you really watched it. Like, it was not a good depiction of black people at all. I thought you were talking about Boardwalk Empire on HBO. I got them confused. You're talking about that. You're talking about that all black show, aren't you? Yeah, it's about the record label.
Oh, that. Was it good? That one I actually specifically avoided, not because it was all black, but it just, the way it was advertised, it looked really just cheesy.
Yeah, same here. I just thought it was too cheesy to watch, and it seems like the black people would have acted like they looked rich, but it seemed like they would be acting very ghetto, so I didn't watch.
that's a thing that I've noticed on almost every black sitcom, at least the ones that I grew up trying to watch, like where it's like if you have like a black sitcom, it's going to be the same as almost any other family sitcom where it's like there's going to be a like, you know, they're going to have like a nice house. Every family sitcom, the family has a nice house no matter what. But the black sitcoms, they'd have like extra nice houses, but they'd act extra ghetto and never like never act like there was any. No one seemed to be doing anything that could get this giant house. Like on some of these shows, like Moesha, I remember trying to watch that when I was younger because I didn't have cable, and I was like, "What? Why are I don't understand. Why is the father and the mother acting this way? Like, when do they work? They seem to be at home all the time. How do they afford this giant house?"
Well, I watched something totally different. Like I was watching, I was watching reruns of The Cosby Show. I was watching.
Well, that was different. I meant more contemporary. But yes,
I was watching The Cosby Show. I didn't hear of any of the controversy. I was watching Smart Guy, you know, with C.J. Henderson. And I was watching Sister Sister. I was watching 207. I also watched some Sanford and Son.
Those were good shows. Some of those, definitely.
Yeah, Good Times. The Jeffersons, shows like that.
Yeah, anything that would be featured on Nick at Night, I think, is generally speaking better than a lot of the shows which are made now. They just when there were fewer shows, they had to make them, and they had to make them better. And now they just sort of like put out as much crap as they can and see what sticks. And if it doesn't stick,
wait, so you guys, I was in the middle of a story. I was in the middle of my story, and I'll be done in a second.
Oh, sorry.
That show Empire, it came out, and I was already starting to think it was racist, and I was like I wanted to, you know, like if I was a black person, I would have maybe written a blog being like, hey, this is a kind of racist show, guys. It's not a very good depiction of black people. But of course, it had a bunch of black writers on it and shit. And so like all the fucking SJWs were trying to act like it was this good show and shit. And it fucking wasn't. And so all I posted on Facebook was, I'm watching I'm watching Empire, but feeling as if any critique of it would be taken the wrong way by my black friends. So I'm just not going to give any. And then this fucking transgender person wrote, "We've trained you well."
Oh my God. Were they trying to be funny or just try to appear to be funny when they were being very serious?
I don't know them well. I think that they were fucking gleefully flaunting whatever fucking twisted little version of victim privilege that they had.
That really happened? Really well? Oh my, that's one of the rudest things you could ever
I would fucking, man, if he fucking said, like, if that was in public in front of a bunch of people, I would fucking sock him out. Like, you know, like, I like that I'll be like, you, the fuck you say? Train me? The fuck you say to me? You, the little fucking homeless ass fucking raver that I was never fucking friends with when I was a fucking DJ? Who the fuck? If anyone trained me, it was my black bandmates, who, you little fucking cunt. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
rage.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, if the exact same thing happened to me, I would have poured an alcoholic drink in that guy's face.
Yeah, it was alright. And that was when that was maybe the actual final straw that broke the camel's back and made me come out of the fucking closet on Facebook as a shitlord. I was like, nope, no, this is fucked up. No more Mr. Nice Prince. Fuck you all. Like, this shit is fucked if it's making people act like that.
Yeah, everyone has a breaking point where they just can't take anymore. For me, my breaking point was when I read that article on The Verge about about Grindr adding trans and cis women to the categories, and that was like, nope, this is it. nope, I have to respond to this. And I knew I couldn't respond on Facebook, like with my actual friends, because they'd either not notice or just lambast me to pieces. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to get an avatar and I'm just going to say what I think.
Yeah, like when it comes to like me, what happened with me is like I had a feminist friend who was like, I mean, she started off cool. She started off wonderful and amazing, and I loved talking to her. But over time, she got increasingly controlling, increasingly man hating, and she just got in the way of my relationship with another guy. I mean, she didn't sleep with him or anything. She just really she came off as a strong man hater. And she just didn't approve of him hanging around me. And there was no way I could keep the friendship and the guy at the same time. And so what happened was, I lost the guy because of this friend.
That's not nice. Yeah, everyone has a story, and most of them aren't very good.
I am starting to utilize the Twitter mute button more often, I have to say.
I don't have enough people on my Twitter to mute yet.
I want to. Well, it's just it's a shame because like okay, I'm almost never going to block people because blocking is tacky. I want to be able to read what they, but like on Twitter, they can fucking clog up your whole fucking Twitter by tagging you and then like responding. And there's people who fucking just and it is not just the fucking feminists. It's not even just people on the left. It is fucking right wingers, skeptic type, whatever the fuck, all sorts of those people. Like oh my God, these people are people get bored. They want
every once in a while.
Yeah, like and it's I mean it makes sense. Like there's these people who have channels on YouTube and have had them for numerous years who have never reached 500 subs, and like some of them maybe don't really try that hard to make that many videos. Some of them could, there's some people, but a lot of these people, it's like they are just here for the YouTube itself and just here for the internet drama itself. And like, they will sort of like jump on any fucking stupid bandwagon. And it's like, I don't got no fucking time for that. Like, I literally like it's not impossible to get me sucked into like telling these people to shut the fuck up and leave me alone a little bit, but like ultimately I should really just mute them because I shouldn't be devoting time into it.
Friends ain't got time for that.
Yeah, I mean it's stupid. Like, oh my God. So yeah, this guy was like if you guys remember, there was some stupid some person that I'm not even going to mention the name of started with me on literally my birthday night. Yeah, it was so dumb. It was so dumb. And people were fucking white knighting for them too. Just because like really literally just because they're like, oh my God, why are you being such a jerk, Prince? Is like, because it's my fucking birthday and I fucking wasn't talking about any sort of drama. Maybe that's it. Like, how much of a drama whore are you if you cannot imagine why I would be annoyed? Like, I've been talking.
People who say they hate drama the most are usually the ones that are the most willing to feed into it, I've noticed.
Oh my God, it was really funny too because so that happened and then I think that this account who actually tweeted this was a sock puppet because there was it only has like 5 followers or something. So I'm pretty sure it's probably just a sock puppet. But even a few like or even 1 or 2 sizable YouTubers somehow noticed and were like, Prince, it seems like you were kind of mean. And I was like, I don't care. Well, I wasn't. So stop white knighting. You know, like, dude, no, you're not good. And it's like, and you know, some people said, well, you're doubling down. Yeah, I am. Yeah, absolutely. I will absolutely double down about this. I do not have any time. I do not have any tolerance for this crowd really at this point. And if this person can't, you know, that was basically my message. It was just like, I didn't have a problem with this person. But she fucking wanted to escalate with me, and I'm not gonna fucking back down at all, period. And then one of the sizable YouTubers said something. What did he say? He was like, Prince, he was like, dude, you're just being kind of a jerk. And I wrote, you know, just in one tweet, I pretty much wrote everything I needed to say. It was just, you know, like, look, she started asking me a fucking stupid question, thinking that I was in drama. She hangs out with drama queens. I told her I wasn't in drama and that she only thought so because she hangs out with too many drama queens. The end. And that's, you know, and the bigger YouTuber, who by the way is kind of a fucking drama queen, but I don't care. He's my friend. He stopped after that, right? That's all that, you know, he seemingly was satisfied with my answer. This sock puppet said Prince was desperately trying to suck you into the drama because Prince, and then there were some other ones that were being like, yeah, Prince is just a drama queen now that he doesn't have anything interesting to talk about. And like, it was like, what the fuck? Like, you fucking people, like, yeah, like, who, it's like, talk about people who say the exact opposite of what is true. Like I have plenty of things to talk about. I am actually taking a break, but there's, you know, I've never had a break. But
and I still never lost the words.
Yeah, no, I just like, well, that's funny. I've well over 400 videos. That's, you know, sort of stupid that you would say that. No, and I don't think that these people even think that that's true. I think that they know that they're just trying to be pests, you know?
Just get under your skin a bit.
Yeah. It's like, they're like, do you know what I bet would piss Prince off the most? If we were to say exactly what's not true about him, because that would be really annoying if it happened to me. People don't like me. You know, it's like, if somebody prides themselves on one thing, tell them that they don't have that thing, you know, like, and it was like they were trying to do that. It's like, what are the things that I don't do? Well, I don't have a shortage of interesting things to talk about, and I fucking don't try to suck people into pointless drama. Those are the fucking things that I don't do on YouTube. And so it's like, it was just really funny that that was happening. And then these people, that happened. And then this guy, today I tweeted something to somebody else, and somebody made a tweet. I don't even remember what it was, but he was like referencing the shit from a few days ago. And I was like, dude, and I wrote him in, you know, I was like, okay, I'm not even going to fucking do this on Twitter. I'm just going to DM him. And I was like, are you trying to get muted? And he was like, wait, what does he say? I'm not gonna fucking show it because I don't want to dox him, but I'm going to
read it out loud, but leave his name.
Yeah. So he's so I say, you trying to get me to mute you? And he says, you threatening to mute me? And then he puts a little laughing while crying emoji. And I say, it's not a threat, it's a promise. Are you going to screenshot saying I'm threatening you? Knock off the drama starting or you're muted. I am not interested in you badgering me. So I am writing you privately in good faith with the hope that you'll knock it off. And he says, it's called taking the piss. Try not to be so oversensitive, mate. Or don't try. Really doesn't matter in the end. And so I say, yes or no. Anything other than, no, I'd prefer you don't mute me, will be considered, yes, mute me. I have no patience for your attempts at piss taking, and you have no reason to believe that I would be. And he says, false dichotomy. There is a third option. I don't care. Do what you want. And I say, muted. I don't remember who you are anyway. You should perhaps work on your social media skills if you want to have decent relationships with YouTubers that you follow. And he says the dude who flips out on someone simply expressing concern for him and who can't take a joke. And I say, I don't remember who you are. So, but it's like I'm handling this stuff pretty good, but it's like I think that I am, but it's like how many fucking people I gotta mute? Like fucking line up, apparently. You know? Like line right up, show yourselves, I will fucking mute you all. Don't care. Like you people, because like his responses were proving why I should fucking mute him.
Yes. It sounds pretty straightforward to me.
It's like a fucking kid getting caught fucking stealing, being like, but I didn't. No, you did. No, we have it on the footage, and we caught you with it in your pocket. Well, but my dad is a lawyer. Yeah. Well, I can still bring you down to the, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, shut the fuck up. So, yeah.
Your dad is irrelevant. We have the video.
It's like I can bring you down to the police office. Yeah, it's like, yeah, your dad's a lawyer, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna be fucking pissed. And like I have the power in this situation. I need nothing from you. You apparently follow my YouTube channel. You're tweeting at me. I can mute you. That's all that I'm saying.
It's just Twitter, people. Chill out.
Yeah. But like, it's a shame because like, you and I, we make videos that matter. But to us, at least, like in our sphere, and it's not going to be it's something that we're going to be doing for a while, and so these people, it's like they're like, okay, what's the next drama bandwagon to jump on? And it's like, okay, I'm not interested in fucking Andy Worski's fucking goddamn channel, like like
I haven't watched Worski for that long before. I remember like I watched him a little bit before like he got banned. Like, or was it like the first? I think it was the first Adpocalypse, and then what was it that like the event that created that led to Bearing making a response video? Not really a response video, but sort of a video about Andy when he was talking. He was like on vacation somewhere a while ago. It seemed like when he came back from that vacation, then he started doing just streams all the time. And does he even do anything besides stream now?
I don't think so.
It seems like there's a lot of streaming on. I mean, yes, I understand the irony. I'm on a stream right now.
Well, Black Knight Full says as soon as he started. I mean, okay, so streaming was during the post, right during the Adpocalypse. Streaming was the only way that fucking YouTubers were getting paid, pretty much at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was that change, and then and here's the thing, is what I would say. Andy is not that interesting. Like,
that's true. He's not all that interesting.
Like he's nothing without his. Okay, he was a professional. He was a professional cringer. Was what he was. Like and like I'm not gonna lie. I used to watch some of his videos very, very regularly. I wouldn't watch them necessarily every day, but like if I was drunk and bored and there was something that he was that looked cringy that I wanted to cringe along with someone, I would watch Andy. Like that's why not?
Is this co-host Chris?
Hello?
Hello?
Okay. You were breaking up for a second.
What was his what was his co-host's name? The Asian guy?
Chris.
His name Chris or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he more put together and much more just than Andy. I mean, Andy.
Katz, you might want to leave and come back because you're breaking up.
Oh, okay.
I like Chris Worski, but Andy Worski isn't all that interesting. And all he does is live streams now.
Yeah. Well, Black Knight Fool was saying something interesting in the chat, which is that so Well, I'll wait for Cass to get back because. La -di -da -di -da.
You have a
Is that better?
of yourself on Twitter. Never knew who you looked like in Sonara.
Hello? Is that better?
Oh my god, that little fucker that was the annoying person that I muted. He's I said, I don't remember who you are anyway. You should perhaps work on your social media skills if you want to have a decent relationships with YouTubers that you follow. And he says the dude who flips out on someone simply expressing concern for him and who can't take a joke. And I say, I don't remember who you are. And he says, I can't help you with your memory issues. And I'm saying, trust me, it's not a memory problem.
Do I know this person?
No.
No.
You don't.
Okay.
There's nothing to know. But okay, so Andy Worski, Chris Worski. So two things I would say happened. Adpocalypse. And also the lack of SJW videos to cringe at. Which is funny because the SJWs predicted that they could put Andy Worski himself out of business if they stopped making content, and it ended up being true.
They did.
Yeah, Mike actually has a video that was called "The Day That SJWs Disappeared," and they literally imitate Andy and Chris, and they're like. They basically, the premise of it is how they're actually sad because they don't have anything to talk about, and it's kind of what sort of happened a little bit, kind of.
It's become like a weird debate channel. I mean, some of them are interesting, and some of them
this is what Black Knight Fool was saying, is that and Black Knight Fool follows things really, really closely. Like because he doesn't actually have a channel. I don't think he's ever been in a live stream, but he, I think that he works in, like, I don't know what the fuck he does for a living, but like maybe he's a security guard or something where he can just like sit around watching YouTube on his phone. I don't know. Because he's like, he fucking watches like every live stream and shit. So he was saying that, okay, so the super chat thing, they started doing Worski Live because they weren't getting paid in the same way, and like maybe it was going well for a little while, but I think they weren't doing so well, and so Andy Worski started realizing that, how do you do well if you're a declining pretty big channel that is not getting the same viewership? Well, you start some drama, and he was able to tack himself onto the Kraut and Tea thing, and in particular, throw a few friends under the bus, and he did that. And once he started actually letting the alt-right on his show, which, by the way, it's not Andy Worski, it's not Worski Live anymore, it's alt-right Live apparently.
Yeah. Did they actually change the name, or are we just being cute?
Oh, being cute, but it's like,
okay.
But
it wouldn't surprise me.
But apparently within the first couple of weeks there was like a $20,000 change, I think, on Patreon to like Andy Worski has been making a bank all of a sudden, and it's like I don't know where the fuck the alt-right gets their money from, but somewhere fucking creepy.
I don't know. Maybe the alt-right owns stock in those skin bleaching products that they sell in Asia and other places where like the people want to make themselves look whiter so that they look more white, because they sell those kind of products in the Philippines and China and Japan, like makeup that specifically bleaches your skin to make you look lighter. which has less to do with them wanting to look Caucasian, but more to them wanting to look like they're not outside and not doing labor stuff.
Mm.
I don't know. That came out less funny than I thought it would. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm ashamed.
Oh, Ed is maybe. I'm gonna try to get Ed in here. He might not come. I don't know if he's like.
We'll say that JF person that frequently comes on the Worski debate. He's very interesting. I don't agree with him all the time, but he is a fine debater. I've seen. Do you know who I'm talking about?
JF, the French guy.
Yeah, I think he's Quebecois. Yeah, he's from Quebec. I will say one of the more entertaining times that I saw them, and when I realized that the Worski channel had completely changed, was when I watched Vegan Gains and JF, the Quebecois, debating about veganism, and it was really strange. Like I've noticed there's been a slight uptick in like people going after vegans for debates, and I guess it comes back to what you're talking about, how like a lot of skeptic commentary channels have sort of run out of things to talk about. So that's from transgenderism and all that. Like, well, let's talk about vegans. They're always irritating.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily so easy because I don't know anything about it, and yeah.
And it just comes across as incredibly petty. Unless, I mean, you could talk to an animal rights activist, like a PETA type person, because they're fucking crazy. But as far as someone who just wants to eat better, like unless there are some very loud vegans that go out there and like, I think like everyone's already made a response to that one Australian girl who's like, oh my god, everyone should be forced to be vegan. That's not an Australian accent, but she was saying people should be forced to be vegan, and I think the internet already tore her several new orifices, but there aren't that many of those people left on the internet.
Yeah, I think it comes back to something that Bass Zizi said about, well, it's kind of how you call it the skeptic community. It has origins, like how it got its name. It was originally the atheists versus the Christians, and it split off where the atheists split off between feminists and anti-feminists. And the atheists did the same thing when they were running out of content and they were really starved for content because Christians didn't want to make YouTube videos anymore. They just go after vegans because it's kind of a lot like people get tired of getting mass downvotes. They get tired of all the hate comments.
Well, it's understandable, like the way that fucking audience members like come at people on Twitter, like fucking people are idiots.
Unless you're Riley Dennis, who literally, I'm convinced that Riley Dennis only exists like I think Riley Dennis exists as like some sort of symbiote for skeptic type channels. Like I think that Riley makes videos that are, I swear, they're intentionally infuriating so that people will make response channels to them, which will bring people to his channel. But
yeah, well, right, sorry, I interrupted Ren, and then now I don't remember what I was saying even entirely, because you're talking about Riley. Right, well, Riley just has fucking issues. Like, dude, Riley, like, I just think like has major issues with his fucking father, and like started making these fucking videos, wasn't transitioning, and then found out everybody in the universe was calling out Riley for not transitioning, and then all of a sudden went on hormones and pretended that Riley was on hormones for a year, and it was like, no, you weren't.
You know who's creepier and weirder than Riley, and people do make response videos too, but they don't get as famous, is that Lindsay chick from Queer Kids stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched?
Oh, fucking Drunken Uncle got fucking famous by making all.
I know. Oh my god, I love Drunken Uncle, but I would. Oh, but yeah, no one has made a better Queer Kids stuff response video than Drunken Uncle, at least not at this point. Several people have made some pretty good ones. Sinatra made a pretty good one, and there was one other I watched that was really good. But I mean, I really truly find the concept of Queer Kids stuff. Oh, Dieter Lupin, he did one. Yeah, that's right. I find queer kid stuff really disturbing because I'm definitely okay with the idea of, there are gay children, but I mean, I was gay, like went from like I've always been gay, but I didn't know what it was until I got much older. That said, I didn't need the kind of information that she is sharing with these children targeted ages like 3 to 7. That information is way too advanced. Her audience, she's giving information that shouldn't be given to kids until they're at least, like, I'd say a minimum of a minimum of 11.
Yeah.
Because
kids they don't need to worry about that.
No, kids don't know about gender, and they certainly don't need to be told about activism and about non-binaries. And I mean, I remember when they tweeted out that they were going to season 3. I was like, I remember it popped up, and I was like, oh my god, this was only a few minutes ago. If I make a tweet now, maybe they'll actually notice. And so they said, oh, we're excited, season 3 is coming out, and I'm like, oh joy, what's next?
Non-binary. Okay, sorry. Queer kid stuff is literally what must have happened as a result of 2 old lesbians with, 2 old rich lesbians that are like the head of some fucking organizations in a private meeting saying together, let's get them young.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did that.
Makes sense because, strangely enough, even though it's not a very popular show, it's like only got a few thousand subscribers. And
I have a whole video about it's kind of a little conspiracy theory about it. It's
really?
about Pop and Ollie and queer kid stuff.
Oh,
it's linked by the same. Yeah, they have a common thread. That was. Yeah, it's I haven't watched the video for a while. I had to get help with research with a guy who is good at like looking at source codes and stuff because they're I can't but yeah, it was weird, creepy feminist shit basically. And
they do have very good production values despite having rather low audience numbers.
Yeah, a number of Pop and Ollie is even better, and has a pretty low audience too.
There's something on your end, is that? Was it something on someone's end? There's a scratchy noise.
I don't.
It's gone. Never mind. I'm hallucinating. But at least I know which psychotropic meditation I need to take if I'm hallucinating. Cricket, 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 cricket.
Yeah, it's I want to. What I really want to do is make entertainment scripts, and I might be working on that, like things that are like actual dramas, like things with characters that are talking to each other. And I have some things going on with that. And like, if I'm not going to be doing fucking Prince of Queens videos every day if that shit gets going more and more, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely not. And honestly, there is a distinct possibility that it will seem more purposeful for me to write for leftist publications if leftist publications start being open to writing from people like myself, just so that I can like, help the gay community and shit, and just be like, hey, like, hey, you guys, did you know that Antifa is totally fucking homophobic? Yep, they are. And you can, you don't have to take my word for it. Figure it out for yourself. Bring up gay guys, bring up gay white men to an Antifa person. Bring up, what do you think about gay white men? And they'll probably fucking start talking shit already. But like, definitely then bring up, what do you think about gay white men who like Milo Yiannopoulos? Like, I want to have those conversations with people. And I don't know if I would. There's a lot of leftist blogs that I wouldn't write for, but there's certain things that I would consider potentially writing for, and there's a lot of new ones sprouting up because we're going through an administrative change. Culture is changing, and people are realizing in media that now is a good time to make new media. And that being said, like, you know, the last thing I'm gonna fucking do is turn into a fucking YouTube drama whore because I don't have anything else but to talk about. That's the last fucking thing I'm gonna do. And you know, like, there's gonna be people that are going to try to rope me in, and I am going to tell them no, and I'm going to mute them. And that's all I have to say about such a subject. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of want to go because the YouTube Saints is on, and I don't really feel like streaming anymore on my channel, if that's cool.
I have no problem.
I have no problem either. Thank you for the invite.
It was lovely meeting you. You have excellent thoughts, Ren, and I would love to hear more of them on other subjects at some point.
I mean, I have about like 221 videos to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can go take a look.
Oh, wonderful. What is your, can you put it in the group chat, what your YouTube channel for me?
Okay.
But yeah, yes, definitely. It has been a wonderful experience. I always like streaming with you, Prince. Like, I meet interesting people or I hear interesting stories, and or both. Always a good thing.
Thanks.
It's just as well. I keep telling you that I'm almost done with that video, and then I keep getting like. Actually, I think the main reason I haven't finished my video is because I got involved in 2 different streaming things. There we go.
Is it the one that you're making for my channel?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wasn't expecting it so soon. Anyway, Derek already made his. Oh, I probably shouldn't say his first name. Oh well. Whoever.
Whoever that person is, who we won't say.
Yeah. Already made theirs, but actually has to go back and edit and.
Yeah, I basically just have to finish rendering and add in a couple. The hardest thing for me is figuring out. I came up with a moving background, but I never know how much of it I should have just me talking and how much I should cut to different photos or stock footage to keep it from being boring.
So wait, so one of the teams in the football game, they're trying to say that they were Nazis.
What? On the Super Bowl? What? Super Bowl? Harley, can you hear my keyboard when I try?
Was it one team weren't supporting Colin Kaepernick or some shit? Is that what it was?
Probably something like that. Can you hear my keyboard when I type?
Yeah.
Okay, I bought a mechanical keyboard, and I just realized it's probably not very good to use it on streaming because it's loud. It's fun to type on. Neo-Nazis congratulate Super Bowl champion. I know that's from last year. I'm not sure what that is exactly.
Hold on. Controversy over Super Bowl. Oh. So after the AFC Championship win over the Chargers, Patriot quarterback Tom Brady was spotted wearing a protective boot on his right foot and limping around girlfriend Gisele's apartment in Manhattan. The record-setting quarterback downplayed the injury and laughed at a report that Giants player predicted the Pats would only score. I don't get it. Oh, it's because they're the Patriots, and this is just some girl.
Oh God, they're getting bad about that kind of stuff. Like there's a store in England called I think it's called Very British, and people are saying they want them to change the name, and they're starting to try to ban nations' flags from celebrations of their independence or their.
Oh, I was watching Computing Forever. Was that what you were?
Yeah, yeah. It's like that's when I used to hear people talking about transnationalism and globalism and how it was like, a bad thing, I used to just kind of laugh it off. And now I'm seeing more of that, and I'm like, oh, this is where they get the idea from. And it's creepy.
Yeah, yeah, it is really, really weird. It's and I mean, I thought that the SJW, I've thought that it was going away for a long time. Kind of like I've been repeatedly long about when it was going to go away, but I mean, it just seems too mad that, but I don't know. I mean, that's what they fucking said in the 1990s about feminism. Like, Christina Hoff Sommers and Camille Paglia, they talked about feminism on, like PBS, and they were talking, and these are people who came from the second wave, and they were saying that third wave feminism was messed up, and they, were pretty clear about why, and basically that the public sided with them, and then the fucking third wavers just sort of went underground and quietly existed as third wavers until the fucking fourth wave came out, and it was even worse. And so
I can't wait for the fifth wave. It's going to be just swimming.
I like to think, sometimes I wonder if the fifth wave is already here and it's just the TERFs.
Well,
Interesting.
Well, anyway, I have theories on that. And Sargon says something to a similar effect where he thinks that the government wants to keep people stupid on purpose. That's what I think. I think that the government wants to keep people stupid on purpose. And I also think that the government wants more power and more control. I mean, I think that's what the EU was about, like how there's this own EU army, where the EU was its own elites. And it's like and I think
the European Rapid Response Force. They were talking about that years ago.
yeah, but the EU actually was working on its own army and everything. So I think that the people who are really powerful wants to have like power they're trying to work for, having power over everybody in the world. Like I think it's just power hungerness.
Yeah, there's definitely there are at the risk of sounding like I wear a tinfoil hat, which maybe I should get a tinfoil hat for my cat. There are definitely forces at work that we don't understand, and they're
Yeah. Well, it's not, but they're getting rather bad at not being understood by us. Like, it's like if anybody, like, I like to tell people, and Rin and no, both of you, you guys have been following my channel enough to know that, like, when I talk about a conspiracy theory, it's generally ends up being true. Like, like I was calling that shit about fucking everyday feminism for a long fucking time. I knew that shit was too fishy to actually be making money, and that, after this election, something was going to happen. And yeah, so one of the things that I like to tell people is very simple. And if you don't understand politics, everything that matters sounds like a conspiracy theorist. Like everything in politics sounds like a conspiracy theory until you actually understand how politics works, and then you realize that it's all a bunch of fucking conspiracies.
Oh yeah, like have you seen Sex and Hammer's recent videos where it talks about visa, where it's kind of like somebody like wrote for like Yahoo News, and then he was the one who wrote an article for Yahoo News, but then he took that article and he submitted that article as evidence for the FBI to use against Trump.
Oh, was this was had to do with the memo that came out.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Styx's video about it, but I did watch a video where somebody read the memo. Apparently, this memo is not particularly doesn't really have any particularly verified information in it.
It was not exactly a bombshell, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, if you take all of the information at face value, it sounds pretty damning and everything, but apparently, if you actually really check the like how do they know what they it's sort of just basically an allegation. Like the Republicans um don't have a smoking gun against the Democrats, and they're basically trying to, like, the Democrats were saying we have a smoking gun, we have a smoking gun, and the Republicans were saying, well, we have a smoking gun, we have a smoking gun, but fucking neither of them do, apparently.
We don't have any guns.
Yeah, and so that's the state of things. But what I would say the reason that they came up with it is so that the Republicans, the Republican voters and the moderate voters will finally just officially feel like they don't have to care about Democrats whining about Russia, because like Republicans, it's not like Republicans were ever going to believe the Russia thing and everything, but they still believed that they had to care about Democrats whining about the Russia thing. But now that they have this, the Republicans voters, and it will be like, okay, life goes back to normal. And then a lot of the Democrats will realize, okay, well, maybe we should calm down, and it'll just be the extremists talking about it, and then the moderates just won't know what to think, and life can go back to normal for them too. But there's gonna be fucking Democrats, in the year 24, when, like, okay, so Trump is almost certainly gonna win this next election. Like, something major and unexpected would have to happen for him not to, just with the state of the Democratic Party. It's just, they're awful. And Trump has actually done quite well for the economy so far, and various things that his voters actually care about, So there's almost no way that he's not going to win in the year 2020. And it's the real nail in the coffin was when Donna Brazile threw everyone under the bus, and Donna Brazile was like, "Fuck Hillary Clinton." She literally said that she was afraid of her. She was the chair of the DNC who had to take over after Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned. Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned because everybody knew she was corrupt and was, loaded the deck for Hillary Clinton. Donna Brazile was the fucking person who took over. And even once Donna Brazile started asking too many questions about, well, was it rigged? Then Donna Brazile claims, this is what she says. She was like, I started asking questions about whether it was rigged, and I started getting scared that I was going to be killed. And I was like, I got security cameras installed on my house, and she fucking wrote that in a book. And so, yeah, like, that's the state of the Democratic Party now. There's no way they're gonna pull it together to win in the year 2020. And their little desperate attempts of, like, fucking Me Too and I'm still with her, or no, I'm sorry, what is it called? Time's Up. Time's Up might as well be called I'm Still With Her to me. Like, literally, there's no difference in my between the two hashtags in my mind. And yeah, no, these are just desperate shit that's annoying the American fucking people, and they're so clueless about anything. George Soros is fucking senile, fucking like the Mad King barking orders like in fucking Game of Thrones. What was the last words of the Mad King? It was burn them all. Like, that's fucking what it is. Like, you don't know what the fuck he's doing anymore. And
here's another interesting thing. So George, like, likening all the characters in your political theories to Game of Thrones. So you just said that George Soros is the Mad King Targaryen.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know who else he would be.
Pretty much, if he's gonna burn them all, unleash craziness on everyone.
Yeah, well, because okay, so like George Soros, he made himself to a global billionaire powerhouse in I think the 19 wait, I should look this up.
80s, I want to say.
Well, he was really, really quite rich. He might have been a billionaire, but he made most of his chunk of his wealth in the 90s, I think. George Soros pound pound crash. How did George break the Bank of England? When did that happen? Black Wednesday. It was in 1997. And how much did he make? Black Wednesday occurred in the United Kingdom on 16 September 1992 when John Major's conservative government was forced to withdraw the pound sterling from the European exchange rate after it was unable to keep the pound above its agreed power limit in the ERM. In 1997, the UK Treasury estimated the cost of Black Wednesday at 3.4 billion. Okay, so I guess it was 1992. And 1992, that's interesting. That's right before Bill Clinton won the presidency. Right before. That's interesting. I never thought about that. So George, Black Wednesday, George. I'm gonna do a quick. So Black Wednesday, George Soros. Okay, so the thing is about Black Wednesday, it was a crash of the banking system and the entire British pound. Like the entire British pound dropped a major amount in that crash. And I would speculate, and I'm sure if you were to talk to fucking somebody like Sargon or maybe he wouldn't say so super openly publicly. He fucking hates George Soros though. Like, Sargon will fucking talk about it. But I think that one of the fucking reasons that the UK sucks so much now probably has to do with the fact that George Soros was basically largely able to take over all the banks because he bet against the British pound, and all of the banks lost all their money, and so he kind of owned them.
Why did they lose all their money?
Well, a lot of people say that George Soros orchestrated it, and that he had a big hand, and like it was declining, and but I think that's how exactly he potentially did that is very complicated.
Okay.
But that was about a little bit over 25 years ago. That was when George Soros was about 60. So that was when he was in his prime in terms of being a businessman, because had a whole bunch of money and was also young enough to be still intelligent, and also the world worked in the way that he remembered it working, in the way that there was no internet really. People weren't really on the internet in 1992, and so like that was when he became king of fucking Europe, maybe because Europe was back in 1992. The UK was more important than Germany, but not anymore. And so like I would speculate that like the reason that that fucking the UK is like kind of cucked and like all like has like hate speech laws and like shit like that is like largely because fucking Soros um having the bank stuff. Why did we start talking about him again? Because I feel like I was saying something specific.
I don't remember, but I might have derailed you. I'm good at that.
Because I started for a specific reason. Like he did that, and then he started doing. He also did the same thing to like various European nations. And they hate him in his home country of Hungary. Yeah, they can't stand him in Hungary.
It started after you compared him. You said you compared him to Daenerys, to the Targaryen, and burning everything. That's when it started.
Well, I was already talking about him. That's like that. It was maybe kind of was the Democrats, and I was talking about Trump is going to win in the year 2020. You know, it's they're amping it up to 11. You know, it's like how they're kind of behaving, and I kind of feel like the Democrats. I've heard that the Democrats knew that conservatives were getting fed up with their shit by the end of the late 90s, and so they kind of let Bush have the victory. They would have gladly let Al Gore into office, but it was so close. They were like, okay, let's just give it to them, and then we'll come back stronger in 2008. And Obama was that person, and some people say that Obama was never Hillary Clinton was never expected to actually be the president at that time, like that they were just running her to see what to see how it would look, how to see how it would pan out. And but the thing is, during the Bush years, the SJW thing, it went away from the public eye. Like it really looked like it went away. Like it wasn't on like Comedy Central, MTV, all the Viacom networks, which the Clintons basically own, for the record, like, well, yeah, because if you no, not exactly, but what are the Viacom networks? Those are MTV, Cartoon Network, VH1, Comedy Central,
Nickelodeon.
Yeah. So those were very, very, very heavily Clinton's America. And you can remember, if you think about it, because one of the ways that Bill Clinton got elected was he knew it was a good idea to try to get on cable television and talk to, he was on the Arsenio Hall show, try to get the black vote, play saxophone. He went on MTV and was like interviewed in front of a bunch of, like, it was just him and a bunch of young people. Like he was trying to get the Gen X vote, and they all asked him these questions, and he was like, "Well, I care about your problems," like in his little Bill Clinton way. I can't do voices that well. And it worked. It fucking worked. He got those Gen Xers to fucking come out in droves and vote for his ass. And nobody really knew who he was. Like, nobody really knew anything about him. Like, I actually heard somebody say something to the effect of, "Yeah, I'm from Arkansas, and we all cheered when he became president, not because we wanted him to be president, but because he wouldn't be our fucking governor anymore. He fucking turned our state into a shithole." And I didn't know. So when after that was one of the ways that he kind of like got into power, it's obviously become very, very clear that he's had ties with the Viacom networks and even like Nickelodeon, like you think about things like Captain Planet. Yeah, like just all that stuff. It's very obvious, and now they have they have fucking like Francesca Ramsey shit on there, and like, so yeah, it's like they have this whole like media empire that is all based around like what type of media worked in the 1990s, and that's what they have. And I think they thought that they could, come back in 2008 and then the Democratic Party would stay in power forever. And they were already saying that. Like they got really cocky. They were publishing articles around 2014 or so, or like maybe 2013, and saying like, here's a comprehensive list, or here's a comprehensive analysis written by a Harvard professor of why the Republican Party can't win another election for the next 50 years. And like shit like that. They were coming out with articles that said crazy shit. And it was like, that's wacky. That's just not true. I know that that's not true. And I don't even really follow politics. Like you guys are fucking, that's propaganda. You know what I mean? Like I knew that it was. And I knew that they were trying too hard, and what it seemed like was, in the 1990s, you could, you could tap into the pulse of, like what's the most popular show for Black people? Arsenio Hall. What's the most popular thing for Generation X? Like young white people who are voting for their first time, that would be MTV. Like you could do that and cover all the bases and learn how to appeal to those people. You can't do that shit as politicians on the internet, because you start trying to, and everybody can figure it out. Everyone's like, no, this is political shit. This, like they can tell.
Yes.
And that was what the Clintons, and Soros and their little friend fucking David Brock, who David Brock is sort of their protege. All three of theirs is what it seems like. He's a little bit younger, but I don't actually know if anyone entirely knows what he looks like. I think I've showed you pictures of him before. He's the guy who has a bunch of pictures of himself that all look different. Like it looks like there's different actors who play him when he has TV appearances. And
I don't know if you're talking about him.
well, David Brock is the head of this company called Media Matters. Media Matters is the creepiest company on the face of the earth at the moment. It's basically a propaganda company that works with multinational corporations and Western governments to brainwash people in whatever way that they can. And they companies can, okay, so I think that the framework is this. Companies actually have to buy into this. Like they have to pay to work with Media Matters. And Media Matters comes up with narratives and strategies. And if you're one of the companies that paid Media Matters, it will it will tell you exactly what their strategy is politically, and like why they're doing it. And I mean, it won't say why they're doing it, but it'll say what they're doing. And that you have to sort of just assume that they're the good guys. And so obviously the strategy right now is to get Trump out of office by any means necessary. And well, kind of, but not so extreme. It's and they're the kind of things. They're the reason why CNN, the New York Times, other such outlets will all around the same time run with the same untrue story. Like it's like, why is it that there's all these little blogs public like talking about this stupid shit that's not true, and they all come out with it on the same day? Well, that's not an accident at all. It's because there's an actual hub, and it's Media Matters, and Media Matters is giving them all their orders. And David Brock is the head of it, and he's sort of like the protege of the Clintons and George Soros. But I suspect that David Brock won't even show his face, because he's at least smart enough to know that in this day and age, if he's somebody like him, people shouldn't even know what he looks like. And it's very, very weird. David Brock is doing his best to, get what the Clintons and George Soros collectively want. And he's probably a really brilliant guy, but at the same time, if you work for the Mad King, you can't stop the Mad King from being mad.
Nope. Just get out of the way when he starts looking for you.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wait, hold up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. For some reason, I can't see the cursor on my It's weird. What's going on?
You have been targeted by Media Matters. Prepare for total obliteration.
Here, oh God, I don't like this. This makes me crapped out. Here, let me restart my computer. Oh wait, no, there it is. It showed up.
Oh, it looks like he dropped out. I guess the live stream is going to die out. Because if the host isn't there long enough, Google would shut itself out.
Oh, did he just restart his computer? Actually, I thought he wasn't going to.
Yeah, it looks like he's restarting his computer, but that means that the live stream will probably go off because it needs this host. And without this host, if like the host doesn't like you could leave and come right back, but you had to come like right back. And if you don't come back soon enough, then the live stream would automatically turn itself off.
Oh. We're basically parasites without our hosts. But we're going
Yeah, it's like being a parasite without the host. The host
we're going to
in order for the live stream to continue. And if the host isn't here, the live stream would automatically go off all by itself. Like you would be talking and talking, and then it would just cut off and it would say off air.
Well, we're still live. We're trying, people. Ren and I are giving all of our collective YouTube magic, but I don't know if it's enough. We may not be powerful enough to keep the stream going without Prince.
Well, I mean, it takes a while. It doesn't do it like ASAP. I think it goes on for 5 minutes. I think it's 5 minutes. I never kept count, but it is like that for a while. And then, oh, here he is. He's back.
Hi. I don't know what happened. It froze kind of, and then I was gone, but I'm back. It might stop the broadcast, but might not. So, yeah, Media Matters, totally creepy. This guy, Media Matters, totally creepy. The end.
Creepiness. Are you looking for something, or are we all stalling?
No. I am responding to the somebody responded to the thing, somebody on Facebook, one of my SJW friends said the Nazis lost tight, and I said, so the joke is they are Nazi because they were the Patriots. And then somebody says, yeah, it's fucking Boston, it's fucking Boston, fuck 'em. And I'd say, I didn't know which city the Patriots were from.
Oh my god. I've never been much of a sports person. Shocker, I know.
But I also didn't know Boston was Naziville.
Now we know. Like at the end of every Captain Planet or G.I. Joe, after they give the obnoxious PSA, and now we know.
Yeah. Yes. I was actually thinking knowing is half the battle. Let's see it. Let's look at who's on the YouTube site. I'm having kind of fun just hanging around talking to people. Oh, they are. Oh, we don't have to. I don't have to watch that. Never mind. We can hang out and talk. It's a Saints Super Bowl party, and they,
Oh,
you know, they're a lot of their audience is like fucking straight guys and shit that
would actually care about something like that.
yeah.
Not you, our precious 6 viewers. You're here with us talking about things. And we
Yeah,
love
I
you.
hate football. It's not my thing.
I mean, I understand why people like sport, and I don't have a problem playing sports per se, but watching other people play sports, I've never personally found it to be all that entertaining, with the possible exception of like soccer, but that might have more to do with the uniforms. Just saying.
It's different playing sports yourself because you're getting
Doing something.
exercise and you're having fun, but watching other people doing it is not all that exciting.
I don't think so myself, but what do I know? Oh, yeah.
Bostonians? Is that the oh, yeah, that's probably it.
Where are you from, Bryn, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm from America.
Yes, no. Forgive me. I wasn't trying to probe. Like I just couldn't tell if you have a very distinctive way of speaking, and I wouldn't necessarily call it an accent, but I was just trying to place it. But fair enough. Definitely was not trying to probe.
She doesn't want to dox herself.
I wasn't. I'm sorry. I didn't even think like that. I just wasn't sure what kind of an accent you had. And I like listening to you speak, but I forget that those kind of questions are inappropriate on streams. I'm still new. Forgive me, please.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I did mention it a long time ago on Twitter, and I have mentioned it in a live stream when I had like 25 subscribers because I figured, well, it's only 25 subscribers, but it's kind of like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's just crazy people out there. Like, there's doxing from the feminists, but there's also doxing from the alt right, where the alt right would just dox people. Where the alt right put like V's like full name on on 4chan, and they put like his phone number on 4chan.
Oh goodness.
That's no problem with doxing people.
Yeah, that is not okay.
So he's saying in response. So okay. I said at first, he says Boston is full of racists, and I say in the way that it's full of white people. And I say, actually, wait, I knew some Bostonians in college. A lot of them were dicks. And then he says, no, in the way they hate sharing tax revenues with immigrant and minority communities. Fuck them for real. And I'm not sure what to say to that.
I mean, what exactly is their obligation to do that? Like,
well, that would be no, that would be like the actual response. If this wasn't somebody that's like sort of a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in a really, really long time, who I would expect to engage with me about some sort of topic like this. I kind of feel like playing dumb and sort of passive aggressively making a joke that he doesn't realize I'm making, in the way that I said I didn't.
Shade has been given.
My initial comment. So is the joke that they are Nazis because they were the Patriots? Like, that's the passive aggressive dumb playing. Actually, I don't like to say that I'm passive aggressive sometimes, because I would like to. Mostly I'm not, but I mean, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works.
Mhm. There is a time to be smart and a time to appear not smart, and that is smart.
Yeah. It's like, the way they hate sharing tax revenues with immigrant. Oh, I know what I should say. I should make a crack about the distinguishing between immigrant and minority communities, because these are two very separate things.
It is true.
Are you more concerned with immigrants or minor? No, see, I don't want to ask too many questions because then it sounds like I'm being aggressive. Because it's like, I want to say something that implies that, like, oh my God, no, that would be almost he would be offended by this. If I were to say, I'd be like, or the ultra minority, which would be legal immigrants.
Oh, yeah. You might as well just you might as well give him a hammer and say, "Here, hit yourself."
Yeah, I can't say that.
No, well,
because yeah.
but
it's annoying because it's like, these people, they have no concept of like why they sort of have the political opinions that they have, and it's like they think that you can like include, like, they don't want to share tax revenues with immigrant and minority communities, and it's like, that's a lot of people. Like, do you know how many different minority communities there are, and like how many different types of immigrants there are? And like,
it sounds like your friend doesn't understand the money at all. Like, it seems like they just, I don't know, live with their parents or they live with somebody because, I mean, I thought like that when I was like 13, I thought like that when I was still a child and didn't really get the concepts of, how the economy works. That's what it sounds like from your friend. Oh, did I cross the line?
No. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree largely. I think that it's more that they think like that because they live in California and they know no other way.
There is no other way out here.
Yeah, well, and also like, this guy is a straight guy who lives in California who still decided to be all like ultra left. So those are even worse because, like, he chose this for himself. You know what I mean? Like, we being actual minorities, we were sort of like put into this sphere of like, everybody assumes that we're supposed to be these political beliefs, but like when straight guys are like that and they're still like this, it's sort of a thing.
I totally agree.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I recently converted my walk-in closet into a studio, which has been great because I have one place to have all of my equipment, my microphones, all my gear without my cats getting into everything. But the dark side to that is it's not ventilated and I am roasting myself in the exhaust heat from my laptop and my television monitor.
Oh, that sounds so interesting.
Sorry?
I said that sounds interesting.
Yeah, interesting and very uncomfortable. It's fine for the first hour, but after that, it just like, even though I have a fan in here, it just gets really, really warm. I'm actually going to be at some point like replacing the useless ceiling light that I have in the closet and putting a bathroom vent in there, even though there's no it won't go anywhere. There's no duct. It'll just go into the attic. But like, so eventually, when I sell my house, the next person is going to be, why is there a bathroom vent in the closet and no light? Oh my god, I cannot wait.
Okay.
Where do you record? I mean, like, do you have like a setup in your house, like a room for it?
I just use my webcam.
Oh, okay.
All right, here.
Welcome back.
Hello. Or I was just complaining that my closet studio conversion is turning into a oven from the exhaust heat from my laptop and my television.
Oh, closet studio conversion. Oh, it's like a really big closet.
No, it's not. It's a tiny closet, actually. It's a it's exactly 4 feet. I think it's actually 4 by 3. I'm not sure. Like, 'cause I was able. There was a space when I took out the hanging clothes. My husband helped me put in a sheet of plywood for the desk, and we drilled some holes so I have cord management, and I've got some lights in here. So now I've got all my equipment all in one place, and it's super nice when the door is open. But then the sound is shit, so I have to close it also to keep my cats from jumping up on the monitor. But the problem is, after about an hour and a half, like, the temperature rises about maybe 15-20 degrees in here. I have to install a vent at some point. Because so basically, if I ever pass out, like, you're going to know that either Cats is drunk, but more likely that he simply has passed out from poor heat ventilation in his tiny walk-in closet.
So the person I could not come up with anything to say regarding what that guy said. And then this other girl that we used to be friends with, that maybe he's still friends with, said as a response, isn't it more like Tom Brady is personal friends with Donald Trump? And so I think I'm going to say, oh, are we still thinking that Donald Trump is something like this in the current year? And then I'm going to, I'm sharing a meme that says literally Hitler, and it is a picture of Hitler, literally.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Because, come on, because I could have sworn that we were all supposed to be in the oven by now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I am, but it's an oven of my own making. So I don't understand this whole, like, Hitler. We had this discussion last night with how do you say his name? Eldorino?
Edindra.
Edindro. I even apologized to him. I was like, I've always known you just as the black and white dog because I don't know your name. Edindro. Okay, Edindro. About how, like, this whole likening of chronic likening of Trump to Hitler. I don't like Trump, but I think it's just absurd and, like, way out of proportion to keep likening him to Hitler and Mussolini and all these other figures, because yes, there are parallels like there are for almost any powerful demagogue, and he is certainly a demagogue. But Hitler, like, really, he's an orange.
Let me look up the exact definition of demagogue again. I want you to know the exact oh my god, gog. I can't. All it shows up is a fucking Demogorgon. It's not what I want.
How do you
spell demagogue?
Demagogue. D-E-M-A-G.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. What we
a political leader who seeks support by appealing to popular desires and prejudices rather than by using rational arguments. Okay, well, yeah, they all have been for a long time.
Yeah, demagogues are nothing new, and some of them are better.
Every American president that I was old enough to remember was a demagogue.
Pretty much. Most leaders are demagogues on some level or another. It's how well they hide it, I think, is what distinguishes them. But sorry, we cut you off. What were you saying, Ren?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of I think that's why Trump is going to be the president like for 8 years is because people keep going overboard, like saying, like he's literally Hitler. Like they were trying to be like dead serious. Like I talked to people in the forum and they did sound like dead serious about it instead of using a hyperbole. Like, no, I'm kidding. They were like making arguments on, like look at the parallels. Like Hitler advocated for this, Trump advocated for this. Hitler did this, Trump did this. Hitler and Trump, and this is also why I think Barack Obama was president for 8 years because people were calling him the Antichrist. You're saying that the world is going to end. The world is going to end. He's the Antichrist, and they were sounding like dead serious. And whenever you sound like dead serious over something that most people would find insane, it's a turn off to your party. Like when people were dead serious believing that Obama was the Antichrist, it was a huge turnoff for the Republican Party because they seemed crazy and insane. And when it comes to Trump, when people are dead serious, they're like, yeah, like look at all of these similarities between Trump and Hillary. They just seem insane to the overwhelming majority of people.
Hillary Clinton, I think that Hillary Clinton was actually what Paul Joseph said is right. I think she really is a sociopath.
I think she's a sociopath as well, or a psychopath.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's. I don't remember always the exact differences between them myself. So
psychopath is not really a term that is used.
Well, a sociopath is something that comes across, like from social situations. Like if you had a bad childhood, you could be a sociopath. But a psychopath is innate. Like there's something wrong with your brain if you're a psychopath.
Wasn't it more so that they considered it a psychopath was somebody that like actually got off on hurting people, and a sociopath didn't necessarily hurt people, but they were just relentlessly selfish?
That's true too. That's also true. But a psychopath has something wrong with their brain, but a sociopath is like that because of environmental situations.
Okay.
But a psychopath, there's something wrong with their brain where, like, if they see people get hurt, they get emotional gratification from it. Like, like they compared a brain to a psychopath to normal people. And if you, like, show a psychopath, a person getting brutally killed, they become calm, they become relaxed, they become really happy. But if you show it to a normal person, their hearts begin to race a little bit, their pulse begins to escalate just a little bit.
I can actually tell you guys what the difference is because I remembered studying this, but I wanted to refresh my notes. So the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is really just a matter of degrees. They're more or less the same thing. The main difference is that a sociopath has a very weak conscience, a very weak sense of right and wrong. It can be easily overwhelmed, and usually is. A psychopath literally has no conscience and will do anything that they feel they want or need to do for whatever is related to their personal psychopathy.
Okay.
Basically, a psychopath, according to like WebMD and some of the other the stuff. I can't remember the sources when I was in school, but basically, a psychopath is kind of like almost a reptile. They have no empathy whatsoever. Whereas sociopaths are just damaged humans.
Yeah. And then there's antisocial personality disorder is sort of like the precursor to either of those. Like, well, a sociopath and a psychopath has antisocial
both have
personality disorder, but
antisocial.
they're just extreme forms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the term psychopath isn't used very much anymore out in clinical situations because they want to get more, granular now. Even sociopath is like, they're very broad terms that don't get used. I mean, yes, of course, we still use them in common expression because they're useful to us regular people, but in an actual clinical situation, you wouldn't hear those terms being used very much. Maybe sociopath, but psychopath is pretty rare for someone, because you have to, it takes a while to figure out if a person is an actual psychopath to say, because they're usually extremely good at lying and hiding it.
So, yeah. Oh, by the way, I hung out with my my technical, well, not technical oldest friend in the world, but the only one I actually like talk to. I'm friends with this guy who I've known since preschool, technically, on Facebook, but I like literally haven't seen him probably since we were like 12. And I how did it work out? Okay, but I am also friends with this girl that I am friends with since the second grade. And so, pretty fucking long time. And she went to she was in my school since second grade. Or no, in the second grade. And then I went to a different school for the rest of elementary school. And then she went to my middle school. And I was kind of friends with her in middle school, but not really. I think we only had a few classes together. And then she went to my high school, and it was the alternative high school. And there, she and I were pretty good friends. And it was always kind of like, yeah, I always liked you pretty well. I mean, I didn't really know you, but like it was like we've known each other for a very long time. And so we became better friends in high school, and she was cool. She was like one of those people that I would smoke pot with because, Rin, did you watch that video about how I had this friend that had antisocial personality disorder?
No, I didn't see that video.
Okay, so it was antisocial personality disorder part 2, and I had, I described this friend of mine who I'm pretty positive has it. Like he has all the signs. Like
this one we talked about.
Yeah, the guy that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So he had all those signs in spades, and he was supposed to be my best friend in high school, but like largely it was really because I had known him since the 4th grade, and like I had always sort of said that he was my best friend, basically, and was sort of saying that through middle school. And he also he knew that he could manipulate me by kind of playing victim, and he would do that. He was very quiet and like unable to talk to most people, and he would kind of guilt me by acting like I was supposed to be his best friend. And then when we'd be alone together, if he ever felt like he needed to manipulate me, he would guilt me by talking about how he was abused as a kid, to the point where I now am starting to doubt how true the one story he actually tells is. Because there's this one story that he always tells, and there's only fucking 4 viewers here. I'll tell it. He said that his father raped his mother in front of him and his sister, and then kidnapped him and his sister. And that was what he would always fucking tell. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen. It very well could have happened, and I should really talk to his sister about it because she's sick of his shit too, to be honest. But she might just be like, oh yeah, that did happen, she didn't end up with any mental problems, but he did. But he also got physically beaten when he was a kid, like really little, probably like 3 or 4, and to the point where like he'd be bleeding out of his ears. His sister remembers that, and so when we were in high school, this girl was one of my many friends that like I actually liked. For the first time in my life, I had kind of like real friends that were chill, and so like in middle school, the only two friends I had were this guy that I was talking about, and then this other guy who both of them were kind of fucking psychos. And like, to be honest, I mean, the other guy who's a psycho is literally dead now because he shot himself in the head a few years ago. So they're both fucking psychos, and but in high school, like, all of a sudden it was kind of like what's the ugly duckling becomes a swan for me in a lot of ways socially, and like I realized that I could actually start being nice to people, and like I could have good relationships, and I was like, wait, this is this weird thing that I never knew about. And so this girl was one of my real friends, and the guy that I was talking about, he was not a he had all these issues in the way that, like, he claimed that he was Catholic despite the fact that he wasn't actually Catholic. He claimed that he wasn't gay despite the fact that he sounds way more gay than I do. He sounds like fucking Mr. Slave. Like, he fully has a fucking lisp, like not just a gay accent, but also a lisp. He is he wouldn't smoke pot at all ever, and acted like basically everything. Like, I had my kind of like high school kind of like I'm cool persona about me, and he acted like he resented everything about that. And so it was this weird thing where he was supposed to be my best friend, but I was this gay kid who was kind of popular and who would smoke pot with some of the cool kids, because we went to this alternative high school where all the cool kids smoked pot, you know. And he like resented all of that. And so like this girl and him, they were supposed to be like friends, you know, because she's really nice person, and she always was pretty nice person. She just like wasn't actually really friends with him. And they're still friends on Facebook. So I hung out with her a few days ago because she has a kid now. She's busy, and we wanted to catch up. And you know how I told you about how he kept, like, when I would have fights with him, he would broadcast it to his Facebook friend list. Like when I would have a good reason to be mad at him, and all it would have took, I mean, not all of it would have took, but the only way for him to get me to be not mad at him would be for him to give me a full fucking apology, like, and just be like, okay, I did something wrong, I see why, I apologize. That's what he would have had to do, you know, because he certainly did. His response was to start just fucking posting about me and talking shit about me on Facebook, like, and blatantly. And it was madness, you know. It was not unlike some other people that I thought I was friends with on YouTube, maybe a little bit, kind of. So so this guy is friends with my other friend, this girl that I'm still friends with, and I, you know, had to tell her about the sort of the story, and like also like all the different times I should have known there was something just pathologically wrong with him. Like, you know, and like, yeah, and then we took him to the mental hospital that one time, and you know, that was fucked up, and then we took him to the mental hospital the next time, and I should have known. And like and she didn't really know any of this at all, and so finally I end up finishing the story, and like, and then it gets to the point where he's posting all this shit about me on Facebook, and she's like, yeah, I remember. And I'm like, well, and then now we're not friends. And she's like, okay, I get it. No, and I'm like, there's not really a whole lot more to say. And she's like, yeah, no, I don't imagine there is. I mean, that's what it looked like. I mean, I figured that he was being crazy, and because she's not actually friends with him. And she basically assured me, she was like, yeah, I was looking at it thinking to myself, I don't know why the fuck this guy's posting about this stuff about Prince. Like, I don't. That was her response to me. And so, yeah, just so you know, it was a nice little bit. And then we were only able to hang out for 2 hours, so we had to like really catch up, you know. And then I'm supposed to hang out with her, and she had a falling out with a friend from high school within the past since we had last seen each other. So she needs to debrief and tell me all about that, because yeah. So, but yeah, this fucking guy I think is a sociopath, or has antisocial personality disorder.
This person that I got lost in the story, are you talking about the person that keeps talking to you on whatever medium it is, or are we still talking about the friend of yours that we spoken about?
Oh, I was just talking about that friend of mine.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
I got lost in the story. Sorry. It was your voice, Prince. It was hypnotic. Round and round.
Or you got lost because it was a confusing story and I didn't tell it all that well.
Shh, I'll never say it out loud. Shh.
It sucks though. Like these people that do this type of drama, and like it's like they thrive on making everything so complicated that other people can't follow it, so they never get caught.
Obfuscation, the easiest way to avoid detection.
Yeah.
The best way to hide a conspiracy is in plain sight, by just throwing out a bunch of what was it? In fact, there was this one legal publication that talked about Google's legal defense in European court, because the EU is always trying to get Google to pay money for whatever program they want them to, and they called Google's defense their they called it their octopus or their cuttlefish defense. Like basically, like they just flooded the EU with like all these different articles and counterpoints to the point where it was very difficult to understand what Google was doing and which one was real and which one wasn't, and basically made them give up.
Wait, well, say that again.
I'm badly paraphrasing it, but they called it like octopus or cuttlefish ink defense, where like you basically just throw out a bunch of noise like along after the real information has been released. That way, like you can't really distinguish what the real information is from the fake.
Yeah, that's actually is a really good thing in the information age. That
fake news.
Yeah. It's kind of also like the thing. I actually made a video devoted to. I don't know if somebody has a term for this. There probably is an actual legal term for this. Like when you're cross-examining a witness. I call it denial by proclamation, and it's when somebody proclaims that somebody says that they didn't do something, and they tell you exactly what they really did do as their way of denying what it is. Like if somebody were to say, okay, so like let's say some woman's husband died and was shot to death in his attic. In the attic at their beach home, and the police arrest her, and then they're talking to her, trying to get a confession, and they say, "Do you know where your husband is?" And she says, "No, but I certainly didn't shoot him in the attic at the beach home." Like that would be denial by proclamation, and sometimes, obviously it would probably be very transparent, like in that instance, but other times it can be really, really effective. Anita Sarkeesian did it, and had everybody going. She keeps doing it. She will say exactly what is true about her con artistry, because Anita Sarkeesian, was a con artist from the get-go. That was like how she got well known. And I think that the thing is that I think that she conned even somebody at like the Democratic Party. Like they thought that she was a legit feminist gamer that was critiquing video games, and they gave her a bunch of fucking money and exposure for doing what she was doing, and she had conned even them. And that's my theory. And and then she gets caught. Everybody fucking, like millions and millions of people know that she's just a fucking liar. And you know, but the election was still happening, and like they couldn't, you know, lose their little blue chip feminist that was taking on all the icky mean gamers, and so they just doubled down. And she goes on stage and she was like, they have a lot of theories about me, and they're all untrue, of course. The first one is that I'm not actually white, but that I'm actually African, and that I bleach my skin and blah, blah, blah. And that was a very, very absurd one that, you know, had nothing to do with reality. And also, I've never heard anyone say, like, I don't know where she found that alleged conspiracy theory about her. It was probably in a tweet, and it was probably a joke, you know? But the other one was the longer theory, and this is what she went on and on and on about. And when I say on and on and on about, I mean that she talked about this next one for the next like 10 minutes, and that was it. Her whole presentation was her talking about the alleged supposed actually I don't remember exactly how long it was. Regardless, she went on and on and on, and she was like, the other conspiracy theory is this: I'm not a real gamer. I'm actually not even a real feminist, but I'm actually a con artist that was trained in to trick people into thinking that I was a feminist game critic in order to get money and influence. I know it's so absurd, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes on and on and on. But she's saying what is exactly true. And you can
make it seem ridiculous by saying in this snarky, like, and by putting it up against all these other ridiculous things in the same light.
Yeah, it's like, can you believe what they're saying about me? So when you hear it, don't believe it. And it's like,
even if they have video footage of me actually saying this.
yeah, it's like, and like not video footage that they have to take it out of context. Like it's like they, yeah,
it's right there, waiting. Like I mean, at this point, like when you become a living meme, like Anita, like there's going to, I mean, like just throw a rock and you're going to find an excellent and probing response video just detailing. I mean, like Thunderfoot alone debunked her how many times, and then like, I mean, it's not difficult to debunk Anita Sarkeesian at this point. It would be considered incredibly stale at this point.
Yeah, and it's not just the debunking her. It's like what happened when even like feminist game critics got in her way. She got them blacklisted from the industry and shit like that. That's where it got like really weird. And that's
Zoe Quinn are going to the United Nations asking for money and for countries to start
censoring the internet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
If ever there was someone who deserved endometriosis, that's when the uterine lining just becomes extremely irritated and falls off.
What's
endometriosis? That's not exactly what happens, but it's an extremely unpleasant condition that only women can suffer from. I would not cry if either she or Zoe Quinn contracted it, or HPV.
Yeah,
I'm so mean. Prince, I'm sorry. I am roasting in here right now,
okay.
And I'm hungry. So I've had a great time, but
it's cool. I'm
it's tapping out now.
No, totally fine. I am probably gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll do some. I know I have plenty of things I could be doing. I just am not. Because I'm not making a video. That's normally what I'm supposed to be doing at this moment in time. And so, yeah.
I get you. Okay. Well, it's been a blast as always. Rin, It was a pleasure meeting you. And I want to do this again with both of you sometime. All right.
Oh, yeah. Pleasure meeting you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye, 5 viewers.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching.